Hello, everybody, and welcome to the behind-the-scenes version, the video version, nonetheless, of CastaBlasta. This is a little rough, but we're working on it. We try to work in visuals and whatnot of CastaBlasta and CastaBlasta goodness. But, work with us as we do it. We'd love to hear your feedback, and we'll get into the show.
Someone needs attention.
Tell me when, big guy.
Oh, I'm ready when you are. And welcome to Season 3, Episode 6 of CastaBlasta. My name is Brian. With me, of course, is Chris.
Well, hi there, Brian.
And John.
Present.
And Jeremy.
Gift.
All right, guys, we have...
That's pretty quick, actually.
Yeah,
that wasn't bad.
I liked that. We have some really major stuff to talk about this week.
Oh, okay.
We're 1 week later than normal.
Why?
But it works out fairly well because now we get to review Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams' brand new retelling of Star Trek, which we're going to do later in the show.
For those of you who haven't seen it yet, you don't have to tune out because we're
going to cover all the news and all the various things first, and then we're going to do our TV reviews and our J.J. Abrams Star Treks, and we're also going to cover Wolverine.
Absolutely.
So we'll do that all at the end. But first up, let's crank out some of this news here because there's some kind of awesome news this week. Not like groundbreaking awesome.
Sure.
Not like actually we're excited about new movies coming out awesome. Just like people said stupid stuff, and so we're kind of interested that they did that awesome.
I like that, though.
Hit me.
All right, so the first up is Keanu Reeves is set to star in The Strange Case of
boy.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which
That's so
is
good.
awesome.
My name is
Yeah.
Dr. Jekyll. I'm a biochemist. I'm a genius.
Oh, I feel
My
like I
name is
have
Dr.
such a
Hyde.
dark side right now.
I'm a bad guy.
That was very nice. I like that
the
a
dual
great deal.
roles, like him having to.
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing.
let's give him an acting challenge, right? And see who,
He never sounds
who needs
different.
this.
No, he never does.
Yeah,
he never
that's
does.
the
So, I mean, I don't have anything to say about that other than I love everything Keanu Reeves does, so that's going to be perfect.
Knowing
So-
his career so far, it would probably be very, very heavily visual effects driven. So
That could be interesting.
I don't know.
I wonder how you would
he's
work
got
visual
some good
effects.
choices. Like, he
He's-
gets some good science fiction scripts.
Yeah,
Though.
he really
Yeah.
has.
I wonder how you would work visual effects into Dr. Jekyll.
well, there was always how Mr. Hyde looked in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That was
Ugh.
very well done. It was completely
Blah.
believable.
It was very well done.
Not supposed to change physically.
not, well, sometimes, some tellings.
It's not.
Hulk smash.
Some tellings.
I'm gonna sneeze. Talk.
All right.
It's one book.
So I think it's kind of, there's
Oh man,
there's certain actors out there
I
that
didn't
can,
even sneeze.
that can play two roles really well, and they can switch.
You're right. That
Like
is
Eddie
Keanu
Murphy.
Reeves.
Oh yeah, Eddie Murphy.
No, Eddie Murphy.
Michael
can
J.
do
Fox, Back to
anything.
Future 2.
Mom, is that you?
You got it.
Yeah. All right. So let's Wolverine. So Wolverine's only been out for 2 weeks now,
weeks, yeah.
and we've already got news of the sequel.
Yeah.
It's going to take place in Japan, which is both good and bad. The good is that it actually looks like it's going to be based off an actual series of comics. So
good.
that's
That is
cool.
good.
And it's now this is a series I have not read myself. I don't know if you've read it, J-Dog, but no. All right, so we haven't read it, but it's supposed to be one
Not
of
directly.
the better series of some of that line.
Yeah, people
of
that are into
Wolverine.
Wolverine as a character think
They like
this portion of his origin story is some
Now-
of the best
It's better.
story out there.
Of course, he's in Japan, and the whole thing with him in Japan is he's training to be a ninja.
Right.
Yeah.
So
As
Or is it
Wolverines are
samurai?
prone to do.
a samurai and a ninja.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Wolverine,
But he also
the
gets
ninja.
married.
Yeah, to a chick.
Yeah.
To Jean
who's-
Grey. To Jean Grey.
No.
No.
Oh.
This is
No,
still back in like early
not Jean
century.
Grey.
He's old, remember?
Yeah.
He's a pretty
Yeah.
old dude.
Oh. Wait. No, I didn't catch that.
It's old. It's not, ancient or anything, but it's like beginning, I think it's sometime in the early 1900s.
So
Yeah.
He
this
gets
is
in
gonna
like a
take-
DeLorean.
this
He
is gonna-
wasn't born in the early 70s.
This is going to take place before the
Still before, yeah.
right.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
It's
So
still part of the origin story.
This will be before Deadpool gets his mouth sewn shut.
Right. Should we just review the Wolverine movie? Since
Yes,
we're
we
talking about
should.
this?
We should.
Do you guys want to just dive
I
into
know
it right
it's
now?
a little, but we'll try to do it spoiler.
All right, all right.
Okay.
You guys hop into it.
Okay.
I want to say flat out, I haven't even seen it.
Chris and I saw it. Chris took me to a fancy dinner. I don't know what he's trying to get going, but
I think you do know.
I do.
Wink. Yeah. So we went
We
and
went and
saw
saw the
it.
movie.
And
Ryan's left the building.
I wouldn't say that I was blown away by it. It was a fun movie. It was a good time to watch. There was a few parts that are a little hard to swallow.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad direction, I thought.
Yeah.
there was a lot of really bad direction. Really cheesy camera work.
Yeah.
And
they did a few things like they used a few music, like a suspense music, almost like loops, like that are almost like you only hear that in trailers. Like they don't ever actually put that in real movies.
yeah.
I mentioned to you. You said you didn't really notice this, so I think some people it didn't bother some people, but for me, it kept taking me out of the movie. Like I kept feeling like I was like, what? Really? Did that just happen? Was that real?
Yeah.
And then the other thing that was kind of weird is it turns out that the movie's kind of based around. What would you call that, John? The whole moon story.
I was going to call it BS.
It's like a little.
A fable.
Fable,
Tall tale.
exactly. And when they're telling the fable, you think it's just kind of like a throwaway moment between Wolverine and a chick, and you kind of like are rolling your eyes, and you're like,
Oh yeah.
oh really? And then like it comes back out throughout the movie.
Too many times.
Like it's like it kind of is interweaved into the plot, which is a little weak. Now, okay, so that's the downside. The upside is, I really liked the actor that played Sabretooth. I really thought that him and Hugh Jackman.
I thought Hugh Jackman and Liv Schreiber did fine for what they had.
I thought they were the strong. Every time they were on camera together, I felt like it was a good dynamic. But that said, I felt like they fight, and I felt like each time they fought, it was wah, wah.
Yeah. Especially like the end, like the climax scene, the end fight. Was not good. It was not good.
Yeah, it was kind of
lame, and then they just kind of totally take a crap.
I mean,
over
it looked cool.
Some major characters in the movie, which I think a lot of people will not be happy with.
So you guys are declaring it as lame.
I'll say if you're a Patrick Stewart fan, you should see the movie. I'm just saying. I'm not saying anything.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah, Patrick Stewart.
I do like Patrick Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would say that it was a bad movie with a couple spots that I didn't mind as much.
Yeah. Yeah, they had some nice moments, but
I'm wondering how similar the final product is to like.
Yeah, neither Chris nor I saw the leaked version.
Yeah, I actually
we
did. I got it emailed to me by a friend,
Oh,
and I'm a big old cheater.
Tiny Grasshopper in the chat room mentions Gambit. Gambit was a waste.
Yeah,
I felt like he brought nothing.
He didn't need to be in there. He's like, hey, check out the stick I got.
They could have used any mutant in that story.
Right.
Wait, Gambit had a stick?
Yeah.
Nice.
Staff.
Here's the other thing too. There's kind of
make a whole movie just.
There's kind of like this. I don't know, like this. There's like this scene where Wolverine and Gambit are in the plane because Gambit's a pilot, and Wolverine needs to get to an island, and so of course he's Wolverine and he can heal, so he doesn't need a parachute, right? So he
just
jumps.
A waste of money.
He jumps from the plane, and he's like, and the Gambit's like, I hope this hurts, and then Wolverine's like, yeah, it's gonna hurt. He's like, well, that makes it better, and so then Wolverine jumps, right? Okay, so then towards the end of the movie, they do a pullback from the island, and you realize there's a bridge.
Yeah, there's a bridge.
It's connected to the mainland over a bridge. Like there was no reason.
Yeah, Wolverine's not. He's not much for walking. He's not really a walker.
They could have driven. I mean, there was no fire trucks and ambulances show up, and you're like, wait a minute, how did fire trucks and ambulances get on this island? And then they pull back. And
it's 3 Mile Island.
It's like yeah, and it's like
how do we get there?
And it's like, oh, there's a bridge with a highway.
Yeah.
So.
Positive news, though, if you play the demo, which is out for the Xbox of the Wolverine Origin game, it's not bad. It's pretty fun, actually. So I haven't played the full game, but
I've seen some gameplay videos. It looks fun.
Yeah.
I'd like to get my hands on it.
You really would.
So I was funny. I had kind of an interesting arc with this movie.
Sink my claws into it.
I walked out of that movie and I was like, oh, we should mention the claws thing. I walked out of that movie and I was like, not that great. And then the next day I was like, you know what? F it. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And then the next day I was like, not that great. And that's kind of where I've landed.
It's not that great. Yeah.
And just one thing about the claws is there is a scene with Wolverine in the bathroom.
They look so fake.
I've never
bad CGI.
I mean, it's like 90s TV series CGI.
It's like what it reminded me of was like Roger Rabbit, where it just looked like a cartoon, like drawn on his hands. Like
yes, it did. It looked like
with like the sheathing sound.
It looked like a daily that they put in for like someone to review, and then they just never took it out.
Yeah.
So
it's really bad.
So it's a little bit crap.
Yeah. See it, I guess.
It's a renter.
Rent it.
Well, that's awesome then.
Okay, and
I'm glad that they did that to Wolverine.
Maybe one of you guys can answer this question for me because I'm not.
Okay.
I've actually not been into Wolverine that much. I mean, I like the new like Hugh Jackman and the X-Men Wolverine.
Yeah, he's done a good job.
In the movie, for a long time, instead of calling him Logan, they referred to him as Jimmy. And then towards about mid, a little further into the movie, they
call him Logan.
They call him Logan, and there's never an explanation why the name change. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, they never covered it in the movie, or they cut it out from at least what I saw. His father, the guy that he killed, was the groundskeeper.
Right.
His last name was Logan. So instead of
so Wolverine's first name is Jimmy, and his last name is Logan.
Well, his last name is the same as Liev Schreiber, as Sabretooth, because he was adopted by the family and taken in. But then when the news got out that he was the groundskeeper's son, he took the name of Logan.
So he's James
Right.
Logan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. All right, that
That's
makes
very
sense.
fancy.
It's just like because they used it interchangeably in the movie like a first name. I didn't realize
They took a lot of liberties with
Yeah.
people, though. I mean,
there was one scene though.
really,
that,
Deadpool's the worst.
for
though.
some
I kind of
reason,
like Liberty.
for some reason, what stuck with me is there's a scene after
1 out of 3.
Wolverine
1 out of 4.
recently gets the adamantium bound to his bones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he gets on a motorcycle and the motorcycle suspension like drops down to the ground, and it's like the first time you've ever really seen Wolverine as like super heavy, and he would be.
Right.
Right.
And that's not really something you ever saw in any of the X-Men movies. Or
that is
or
kinda
anything
cool.
Yeah,
it comes up in
I
the
like
comics
that.
a
Neat
lot.
stuff.
though.
I
It
could see
weighs-
it come up in the
Yeah.
comics.
There's
yeah.
just
Over
neat stuff,
300 pounds.
But yeah, as a whole, it's not.
Yeah. So that's kind of our review of Wolverine.
Wow, that's
Man.
that's uplifting and
You're welcome.
wonderful.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's get back to the news.
Okay.
All right. So we got a little bit of McG news because I know John likes the McG enough.
Okay.
I like Chuck by McG.
Yeah, everything that McG touches turns to gold. So,
one
20,000 for 1 season. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. McG is
like the
pushing
Whedon
that
curse.
forward.
Starring
They've
Cameron Diaz.
they've managed to finally cast or theoretically cast. Maybe it's not official yet, but it's looking to become official. Their new Captain Nemo, and it is The Rock.
Good.
So
Good. Aggressive letter writing campaigns.
Yeah. Thank you.
I for some reason this is one of these movies that I watched a lot as a kid. So this movie is like
I love this movie.
yeah, it's
I
like
love everything about this movie.
I know, me too. I love submarine movies. I love this type of submarine movie. And
Did you
I
ever read the book?
I think
Yeah.
I think I
Boring
started and
piece
then
It
of
is
garbage.
yeah.
It is
ever.
kind of a boring
I was gonna
book.
say
Yeah. But man, what a great
And
movie.
that's really deep.
yeah.
Nice,
So Dwayne
John.
Johnson,
That was very good.
I just do not believe Dwayne Johnson can give proper credit to this role.
Not Nemo.
Is it being produced by Walt Disney again? I mean,
say
is
what?
Disney still
Who knows?
behind the scenes of this?
I believe they still own the rights, either Disney or one of their sub companies, because they
sad.
own like
Well, because
8,000
The
of
Rock
them.
has been getting more into kids films a little bit.
with
Yeah.
Return to Witch Mountain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And the
which kind of caught
was
me
it the
off guard.
pacifier before that?
No,
that-
no, no.
Oh,
That
no,
was
no.
that was the other guy. That was
There was one
Vin
where he
Diesel.
was like-
Vin
he was like-
Diesel.
This is
Yeah.
kind of interesting. Tiny
Oh,
Grasshopper
yeah.
in the chat room says that the WWE owns the trademark to the name The Rock.
Oh, sorry. So it's just Dwayne Johnson.
I thought
we can say The Rock. See with the circle.
I thought
Right.
he started using Dwayne Johnson because he was a douchebag. I didn't realize it was because of a copyright thing. So I wonder if they have to pay the WWE
Wait a minute.
every
Wait
time
a
they use
minute.
it.
Wait a minute. You thought he was a douchebag because he started going by his real name instead of The Rock
Well,
when
What
he
a
was
dick.
in movies?
No, because it's like
That's what you thought was douchey, not the fact that he was The Rock earlier.
right.
Okay, I just want to be clear.
Actually,
to the entire
that's
world
true, yes,
that's what you were thinking
yes.
on that
I
front.
don't think it's douchey to have a wrestling name if you're a wrestler, though.
No, but if you get
That's
into
not douchey
movies,
either.
No.
But he made the name change at the same time. He tried to take some different types of roles, and that just
That's because he was done with the
it
wrestling.
just
I
came
guess.
off as douchey. But
He
all right.
came off as
But he's
douchey.
been-
All right.
He's been back on WWE a few times with huge crowd turnouts.
Oh, I'm sure.
Good.
I mean,
Huge
they love
crowd
it.
turnouts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I follow wrestling really closely.
I bet you do.
All right.
All right.
So,
Well, it's on
Uh,
Sci-Fi, Sci-Fi.
Siffy.
Is it really on CP now?
Siffy. Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
There's
So,
some wrestling on
in
there.
in other McG related news, and this isn't so much news as it is awesome.
Okay.
All right, so McGee's been going around doing his press junket for the new Terminator movie, which
Right.
kind of looks awesome.
Yeah,
in my
sure. Why
opinion.
not?
Yes.
And he's been talking about it, and he said, and I'm going to read this to you guys
This is a funny
verbatim
quote.
because this is fantastic and makes me want to give McGee a hug. And he says, Michael Bay has a big cock, McGee says, but I'd like to believe mine is bigger. McGee then smiles. If he's up for it, we can both reveal ourselves on the Spartacus steps at Universal and put the question to rest. So McGee
Cock
is
off.
starting, yeah, he's starting a feud
I'm cock of a walk.
with the other director that people like to make fun of.
I'm
for
calling
these
your
sorts of
cock out,
things.
Michael Bay.
All right. Moving on from that.
Yeah, this is fantastic. No, but what's
And let's
important
film
here?
it, Michael Bay.
What's
With
actually
explosions.
what's actually kind of funny here is the Spartacus steps at Universal would actually be neutral territory for the two of them because of the studios that they're various working on. So
Yeah.
that means that McGee actually put thought into this. It wasn't just show up and show me your cock. It was flat out, I've got a specific plan where you can feel safe and comfortable to show everyone your cock in a very public way. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, he did
You know-
put thought into it.
You know, the night before he made this quote, he was probably at home like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Bringing it out.
He planned it out. It's nice.
Brain it out.
He spent a lot of time
Balls in your
thinking
court,
about
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay's privates.
He
Yeah.
did think it's. And
I just like that he starts
Drew
it
some
off.
sketches.
Yeah,
and now
Michael
we've-
Bay has
now
a
we
big
have spent
cock.
too much time talking about his privates. so
No,
let's-
no. This
let's
is
move on.
fantastic. I hope to
We'll
have
set
an
up a whole nother
update
podcast
on the next episode of Casta.
All right.
All right, so here we go. The director of Snakes on a Plane, one of the best films of all time,
Yeah.
David R. Ellis, has a new film project in the works called
this is awesome.
called Humpty Dumpty, and I'm gonna read the description from Variety here for you,
Thank
so you
you,
guys
Brian.
can see what kind of movie this
Thank
is.
you for reading the
It is
description.
a 3D sci-fi horror pick
I like that.
about a half-human,
Sure.
half-alien creature who embarks on a murderous rampage after his alien mother is abused by two rednecks in the Deep South.
Oh,
Spoiler alert: his kryptonite, walls.
wow.
Very
I
tall
kind of had it
walls.
coming. So the assumption is that he looks kind of like Humpty Dumpty is why it's called that, but we have really no idea at this point. The
No, I
great
think
thing
it's-
is,
I think the name is in reference to his psyche about its.
Whoa, look
been
at Jeremy
shattered.
getting deep.
Whoa.
and nobody can put it.
yeah, the director of Snakes on a
Wow, that's
Plane
pretty
thought,
deep.
decided
Yeah.
to name it after the psyche of something.
That sounds like a whole
right.
semester of psychology there.
Right.
Hold on. He
I
might
showed
be,
up a time or
He
two,
might
too.
be right because you think about it. What is scary as heck? Snakes on a plane. The whole concept is scary. That's looking into people's psyche right there, Brian.
Dude, that's totally right.
Yeah.
Fear snakes.
Moving on. So, BioShock, the movie version of BioShock's on
Yeah.
hold
Bad
due to
news.
budget.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
It's
do we have
barely
any
gotten
details?
out of the gate. It was just
That's too
greenlit
bad.
like
Yeah.
2 or 3 months ago. I
Well,
think.
they realized it was going to cost more than what they initially projected.
Yeah, I don't know how you could do that
Yeah.
movie cheap.
That's why they.
I mean, if
Nah,
you
I
do it
don't
right,
think you can.
the
well, water makes
Rapture-
things expensive, and then there's got to be a lot of CGI in it.
Yep.
You know.
Well, you remember how many windows
Water
are
is
in that
free.
place?
I don't even know if they've written a script for it.
Oh,
To be honest, it's just
I don't know if you noticed, but the video game was pretty good. They could
Yeah,
just
they can
take
take that script.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but I
that's
mean,
true.
yeah, you don't have to though. We've gone over this a number of times. There are so many potential stories in the BioShock.
I don't
world.
follow.
Shut up.
All right, so kind of marginally newsy related. So the new Thor movie coming out from Marvel Studios. Jeremy.
Kenneth Branagh was
Say what?
was
Branagh.
interviewed on a completely different topic, and the interviewer asked him how Thor is going because he's
Yep.
been attached to the project.
Mhm.
And he basically said nothing, just that it's still all in the conceptual phase.
That's cool.
It's confirmed, though. It's going forward. They're just still talking script and storyboards and things like that. They haven't done any casting of any kind yet.
Well, how about that?
There you go
But it's
on
good
that.
to
It'll be
hear
interesting
some-
to see who they choose.
Some actual confirmation that it's moving
Thor.
forward.
Absolutely, because I really do like the idea of Kenneth Branagh directing Thor. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a really good fit.
What's he done before?
Hamlet.
Hamlet.
It's just Shakespeare stuff.
Lots of Shakespeare stuff.
Slash Wild Wild West.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He was
All
a
right.
spider guy.
Well, there's mechanical robot spiders, so
That was really good.
mechanical robot
That was
spiders.
really good. Seriously, I just have the theme song to that stuck in my head like every morning when I wake up.
Wow, Wild West.
I believe in the Wild Wild West.
You know, I don't actually think I've ever seen that movie. Like, I've seen it, like, I've caught it on TV, and I do actually get that theme song stuck in my head from time to
Yeah,
time.
I don't think I've ever seen it sober.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it like all the
I
way
remember
through.
that Will Smith went to the red carpet on a horse in a black cowboy outfit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mm.
That's douchey. If we're gonna call someone a douche, let's
I
call Will
agree.
Smith a douche on that one.
I agree.
This is my career decision.
All right, we got a little bit of Disney news. As a lot of you probably heard, Disney is now a major partner with Hulu, which is kind of interesting.
That is
Yeah.
interesting.
Because everyone loves a little bit of Hulu from time to time, and now
I do.
Disney's like all up in their business.
Well, what's interesting?
Gross.
What's interesting about that is now we're going to get ABC content on
Right.
Hulu.
Yeah.
which is very very nice actually.
Yeah.
But that also might mean that we'll get less of other content.
right.
If they start showing too much favoritism, we might have to
Yep.
go elsewhere.
What
to
I think
find
is
some
just
other
so
shows.
lame is the fact that Hulu is restricted to the U.S. Like, even like people in Canada can't watch stuff on Hulu. I mean,
But it's the same basic deal
Well,
if you're
it's 'cause
watching
they're
like
commies.
BBC stuff, and
Yeah.
you can't do it outside of Great Britain. So it's
yeah,
the
but
same
that's a
basic
little
thing.
different, right? Because the taxpayers pay a license fee in order to watch BBC content.
Yep.
So that's why they're restricting it to that.
Well, our taxes
And here it's just an
fund
arbitrary.
the FCC.
I mean, okay, yeah, exactly. I mean,
Mhm.
I'll just say this really quickly, but I think it's ridiculous if you put videos on the World Wide Web and then restrict it to the U.S.
Yeah. World Wide Web?
Exactly.
No.
No.
I think they misunderstood the point.
America
saying.
Wide Web.
I think that's why we
It's
call
America
it
I want
Wide
an
Webs
America
now.
Wide Web.
AWW.
That sounds really patriotic, and I want one.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. On
Freedom
another
Web.
Disney-related news,
AWW.freedomprize.com.
Clown penis top fart. So, Disney World and Disneyland Star Tours. I love Star Tours.
Me
Oh, me
too.
too.
I love Star Tours as a kid. I love Star Tours now. But it is really, really outdated.
I
Turns
spent
out.
hours and hours and hours in that line.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But they're updating it. They're actually filming a completely updated post-prequel era Star Tours in the Star Wars universe, including characters that we do not want to have around, which Jar Jar is going to be included, it sounds like.
Well, is
in the
Paul
new Star
Rubens
Tours.
still going to do voice work?
No, I don't believe so.
That sucks so much.
Yeah,
So
Paul
being
Rubens
redone.
did the voice of the robot pilot that pilots you horribly around and mismatches you. It's the best thing ever. So get down there, get to Disneyland, get to Disney World right now.
Experience
and
the current
experience
version.
current Star Tours with
Yeah.
Paul Rubens.
While
It's
you still
fantastic.
With a flip or something. Just to keep it.
Or something. Yeah, just to keep it. I don't know what you're going
Okay.
with that, but just to keep it.
I've
So-
never seen it.
So,
What?
do any of you guys remember
I've
the
never been to Disneyland or Disney World.
Oh, fail.
I
Childhood
know,
fail.
right?
childhood fail?
No, seriously,
So, you guys remember the old Spawn movie?
I do.
Yeah.
With John Leguizamo?
I did
Yeah,
not
he-
like it.
yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
I'm
very
actually
good.
a big Spawn fan. I'm
The
not like
cool
a huge Spawn
cape
guy.
effect when he
I'm
dropped
not. I
fell.
think it tries too hard.
Oh, Spawn totally does, but that's part of its charm. It's,
Yeah.
I like Spawn a great deal. I did not like the movie at all. But Todd McFarlane, not Seth MacFarlane, different McFarlanes.
Way different.
I don't even think they're spelled the same. But Todd McFarlane, the guy who does Spawn,
Likes
says
baseball.
that there are no less than 5, in quotes here, offers to make a new, completely rebooted Spawn movie.
Well, maybe it doesn't
Interesting.
feature Spawn.
By
Oh yeah, we'll just do one with John Leguizamo's character from the
God.
original movie. And that's
yeah,
it.
that's what
But
I
how
need.
much-
Evil
It's a
clowns.
spin-off.
That's what I need. More evil clowns in my
Is he
life.
implying that there's 5 different studios making the offer?
Yeah, 5 different offers, different studios, financing firms to make a new Spawn movie, and I guess some of them are big offers,
How did
and some of
the-
them are smaller offers, but are giving him the potential
Interesting.
opportunity to write and direct it himself,
The
which
rights must have
could
just come
be. Yeah, but that's exactly it. So it's
Well,
kind of
I
exciting.
mean,
all
that
by
could be a
itself.
cool deal because that means he could pick like the best offer and then hopefully make the best movie. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
How does anybody know how?
How much? How big the offers are?
No. How much was
How
he
big his
involved in
ego
the
is?
original Spawn movie?
I don't think. I
don't
don't
know.
know. But
Yeah, I've
judging
seen-
based on the comics,
Because it's very
and the
possible
movie
that
I don't
it was
think
such a
he was
failure
involved
because of him.
enough.
Okay.
Well, it
would
is.
be my assumption.
I just remember they spent like tons of time on his
Yeah.
his cape.
yes, that's the thing.
That's
They-
like,
they
oh,
did.
check,
That
check
was-
this
that
out.
was a big
10-year-old
thing.
That was
film. I
their
don't know
selling
that they
point.
had the CGI
Yes.
Look at the
back
cape,
then
though.
to-
Yep,
It was
Like,
pretty fantastic.
That's how you're selling your movie.
bad sign.
Yeah. All right. So I've got 2 more things I want to touch on real
Okay.
briefly before we get into me talking about Star Trek for 3
Okay.
years.
All right.
So the new G.I. Joe trailer we got to see
Yeah.
came out with the Star Trek movie and all that. So
Yep.
we got to see it, and
It's ridiculous.
it is.
Hope-
it looks
hope
so
failing.
ridiculous.
Yeah. No, no.
wow.
No, it looks so much fun.
Oh,
It looks
wow.
like fun. It does look like
It-
fun. I'm gonna agree with Jeremy.
Looks like
there.
stupid fun.
It looks like
It
stupid
does.
fun, and
Like the Mummy fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it looks like 3 steps out from the Mummy fun. It's so left field.
Like Mummy 2?
They put the people in super suits so they can jump really
Yeah.
high and go all
What
really
is it in the
crazy.
hands?
And it
You.
seriously, it looks like.
I know.
It looks like the people are all like in I'm Keanu Reeves in the
Yes.
Matrix suits, but only in the early ones where I can dodge bullets mostly, and that's cool, and it's probably going to be a fun movie. But I couldn't
They can-
tell
no, Brian.
from watching it which characters were which.
They're not dodging bullets. They dodge missiles.
Missiles. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right.
missiles. See, this is what I'm saying. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, but I just on a related kind of tangent. I got to be honest, you guys. I'm getting a little nervous about the new Transformers movie. I mean,
Oh, it's gonna be bad.
don't get me wrong. I like some of the things I see in the new trailer.
I
but
know exactly
overall,
what you like about that. Go find that picture.
Yeah, overall, I don't know, Brian. I haven't talked to you about this yet. I'm curious to see if you're getting concerned at all about the new Transformers movie.
Am I getting concerned at all?
I'm
I
afraid
was
it's-
concerned about the first Transformers.
I'm afraid
movie.
it's gonna suck.
It might, but honestly,
It will. I'll see it.
The original trailer that came out for the first Transformer movie put me into outrage mode. Like I'm like, what the hell did they do to
What?
Bumblebee? It looked wrong.
When are you gonna show us that mode again?
Every day.
A few minutes, actually, just
Oh.
a couple minutes more. But Michael Bay put together a movie that was just kind of fun. I don't know.
Transformers urinating.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get more
It
Transformers
was
bodily
leaking
fluids.
lubricant.
Yeah, but it's not
Right.
gonna be. It's gonna be tears this time. But
It's gonna be bad, but I will see
it's gonna be bad. But there should be good explosions and things blowing up and
robots.
And I do like the fact that they're committing to 2 more, so they're actually gonna make it into a trilogy.
Now, is
which
she
means
supposed to
that
be in it?
maybe they thought it through. Who?
Megan Fox.
That
Of
just
course
means
Megan Fox is
all
in it.
that means is that there won't be a good ending for this movie. That's all it means.
That's pretty much the
Oh,
case.
that's a good point.
Probably, yeah.
If they're already committed to a third, then
Then
the
again,
second
then
remaining
again, you know, I
trilogy is
said that
usually an unfinished
I
story.
said the same thing about the Matrix. I liked that they were doing a trilogy, and by the time they got to the
Yeah.
third movie, I kind of just wanted to stab both of
But
the
I liked the
Wachowski
first
brothers in
Matrix
the
a
face.
lot. I thought the first Transformers was okay. So I think this is going to be more like Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy.
Which got pretty boring.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But see, I just don't see a Transformers movie directed by Michael Bay turning into a 3-hour epic saga that was really, really dull. I just don't see that happening. I think worst case scenario will be like, wow, we already saw 2 movies of robots fighting.
That's
Why
the
do we need a
reason
third
Chris
one?
wants to see it, right? There.
That's why I'm going to see it.
Are we going to go switch over to that video? For those of you listening to the audio version right now, you need to go watch
Right now you do.
the Transformers trailer right now. And when you hit a certain spot that you thought, oh, that's what he meant, pause it and then
involves a
resume
motorcycle.
playing.
Yeah.
It involves a motorcycle.
So that's
it
that.
could be fun. It's going to be a fun movie.
Yes,
All right.
I agree.
All right, let's get into some other news here. We got one last little tidbit.
All
and
right.
that is the shows that are or are not coming back. The shows that we care about deeply. Namely, we may or may not get Chuck or Dollhouse.
Right.
We find out about Chuck on the 19th.
The buzz is better for Chuck than it is for the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The buzz is good for Chuck.
Although talks were going on today about second season of Dollhouse.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
that does bode well. I do like that.
I feel like knowing what what's his face? The director's name? I'm totally blanking.
Joss Whedon?
Joss Whedon. I feel like what Joss Whedon went through with Firefly and stuff like that. That I got to imagine that when he went into this, he must have said, "All right, guys, but you've got to give me a fair shot." You know, like
he must have, because they were screwing him over at the beginning.
So I feel like, plus, now you'd have to be dumb as a doorknob not to realize this show is great now.
It's really
It's a
entertaining.
good show now.
Yeah.
And
now they got rid of all the network episodes. You know that it's really starting to do the like
I mean,
established.
did anybody have issue with the season finale, or was that just a lot of? Was that I actually had a couple issues, but
I liked it as a whole. I
liked
liked the last
it.
2 episodes.
I just felt like what was the cliffhanger exactly? She remembers a little bit, and they've got the FBI dude kind of working for him, but who really knows?
Yep. Well,
So-
also we're kind of left with the question, like, I don't know how much we want to go into Dollhouse right now. I mean, we can, but just like, is everyone who works there a doll? Like how many people are dolls?
That was interesting. I loved the reveal, and it's funny, right?
Yeah.
Because I personally think that could be a really hard line to walk. Because what we've had is we've had people revealed to be dolls before, and every time it was like that. It was like, oh, that could have sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But every time I was happy with the way they
Joss
did it,
Whedon, man.
Right.
and the way they did the doctor being a doll.
Mm-hmm.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
it was
they hinted
brilliant.
at it the week
Yeah.
before. They hinted at it the week before, and
Yeah.
you're like, wait a second.
It's brilliant.
It
So
was great.
Yeah.
and then what's his name from Firefly?
Wash.
Wash.
Alan Tudyk.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's he's fantastic.
He's awesome.
He's really good.
I'm so glad that
he
he
was
didn't
also the
die.
voice of the bad robot in
Yeah.
iRobot.
He was switching characters, and he just did a brilliant. I mean, they added a little camera trick and a little sound effect and whatnot, but his face would change the way
Yeah.
he like hold his grimace and things like that.
Well, it's a really meaty role for an actor, you know.
Yeah.
It is.
It was
great.
great. Everybody at the same time.
And I also really like the concept of taking Echo's original personality and putting another person, then having her have to watch herself.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Great idea. That's just
Great
very
idea.
creepy. And I thought it was done
And
really well.
the blonde that was in there, I think she was from Growing Pains.
She was.
looked
She was.
familiar,
She
yeah.
was a little girl. She was Chrissy on Growing Pains. Also in
good
What Women
catch.
Want, which I saw multiple
I,
times.
right,
I
the
knew her,
daughter
but
in
I
that.
could not figure out where I knew her from.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But so yeah, I'm really pleased, and I don't have to have some crazy finale to tune in the next season.
No,
so
it's just a good show.
Yeah, it's a good show.
That's
Yeah.
kind of where I stand with Dollhouse. It's like they didn't have to do any tricks to get me into it. It's just a good show.
But there's
I
so much
just
stuff
want
they
more.
can do. Like when you realize all the stuff that they're doing now, it just becomes so much more than it was at the
Yep.
beginning. Like
And
they could have like a plot to replace the president with a
Totally.
doll
Oh, yeah,
or whatever
absolutely.
they want. You know,
Yeah.
like they could go as deep as they
what
need
I
to.
find
They could even have the Dollhouse organization on a whole get too much and have this Dollhouse rebel or
Sure.
something like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I think what's interesting, and I hope they kind of go down this route, but I don't know, it's a lot to bite off. But one of the things we were reading online, I think we covered last CastaBlasta, was there was a never aired version of the season finale that takes place after the apocalypse,
Yeah, like
Right.
30 years later, I think, right?
which I don't know what that's about.
Terminators.
That hasn't been brought into the storyline at all, but it's a freaking fascinating idea.
But that's one of the things. That's the direction they're headed, and it's that's kind of exciting. I don't know about you guys, but that's
I'm
that could
such
be
a
really
sucker
cool.
for that.
Me too.
Totally.
So
this is exceeding my expectations because at first you're like, well, how am I going to care about her? Because she's a different character each week.
Yeah.
And really just kind of learn to deal with that and work around it, make everybody interesting.
Yes, I'm very happy.
Yeah, they've done it great. All right, so hopefully we have news of Chuck and Dollhouse soon,
and Terminator. Let's be honest.
And Terminator.
It's not official yet.
It's not official, but it's not likely.
We've all seen the insider tips that they've torn down the sets.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what?
If it's coming back,
I
it's
bet
not
if this
likely.
movie does well, there's at least a little bit more hope.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of the a couple of the actors or the actresses are already on other gigs, but just a comment to the tearing down the sets thing. The way they ended the season finale,
that didn't matter.
They were done with all of the sets.
They were done with
Yeah.
all those sets.
Yeah.
So you're right. It didn't really matter that they tore down the sets. They were gonna.
But
anyway.
it is a bad sign. But
yeah. So
Well,
we can hope.
There's ways to write yourself out of situations, and the last Terminator movie, I think it had like a decent opening, but wasn't really seen as success.
No.
So this one, if it does well, and it's got the stars behind it,
Right.
it's got what it needs to work.
Yeah.
I think that it'll drum up interest and people want to see the show.
I agree. So that's what I'm hoping for.
So I want to talk about how bad Star Trek is, you guys.
Well, did we want to cover Fringe at
Is
all?
it time?
No, it's terrible. It's getting picked
Fringe
back
has
up, and
been
we have
picked
to
up.
watch it more.
Well, hold on.
I blame American Idol.
I want to say.
I do too.
I want to say I'm considering watching Fringe.
Don't watch Fringe.
No,
I get back
I
into
liked
it
the
every
last-
fourth episode, and I kick myself for
I
it.
liked the last episode of Fringe, and
There's some good Fringe
I'm looking
right there.
forward
There's Fringe
to
right there.
tonight's Fringe, actually.
not
As a
talking
whole, it has
about-
been a very bad season.
We're not talking about the type of Fringe they wear on clothing. We're talking about the TV show.
Yeah, so not the kind of Fringe that the video viewers just saw. They're just there. I don't know. See, I like the idea of the show just fine.
Well, and
I even like some
right.
of the actors just fine, and some of the dialogue has been okay too.
I,
and some of the it's just the overall show quality I dislike. Greatly.
I don't
There's
know.
something about Fringe that I know that you would love. Look up Deep in the Lab. There's these little web exclusive clips of just Walter Bishop doing voiceovers. They're hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no,
So
I
you'd
like
like
that. I like
He's
hilarity.
your favorite.
Yes, he's my favorite by far.
Yeah.
I want to see it just because Leonard Nimoy's getting
Leonard Nimoy is going to be on the season finale, which airs
That is.
tonight.
and
And 12th.
and he signed up for another couple episodes.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Well, it's an
Wait,
important.
wait,
It's an
really?
important role. Well, at least
And
it
not
sounds like an
only
important
that,
role.
but
yeah, it actually doesn't sound like a throwaway role either. It actually
Yeah.
sounds like they've actually written him into the actual storyline.
Yeah.
Okay, now
And
that
it's not
might
just
get me.
like he was
He's a
talked
J.J.
into doing
Abrams
a cameo either. If you saw an interview that he recently did about his big reveal as being William Bell, he went into the backstory of the character and talked about the motivations of what they're going to be exploring about and everything. So
Right.
he's not
could've
just
made
a
that
walk
up, though.
away
He's a little
cameo.
crazy.
He's
Yeah, I gotta just
taking
Yeah.
it seriously.
so I gotta watch it. Plus,
All right.
it's like
I'll
number
get caught up.
it's like
and
number
watch
2
them.
or number 3 in their ratings some nights.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the
It's crazy.
overall ratings. I mean,
Well,
it's
it's got the American Idol lead in.
Yeah,
it's
it's
crazy.
Whether you
my
like it or
brain.
not,
lead-in.
it's the big lead in.
Yeah.
Now
There have been some very bad episodes. I like the last
Yes.
one. I like where they're going actually because
Yeah,
they're starting
okay.
to like kind of draw the
I
bigger
mean,
picture of like what's been going on, and that is interesting.
Yeah.
So you like it better than Grey's Anatomy now?
No,
Not quite. Yeah.
not yet.
Now, for
There's
along
more
the
love
same
and kisses and Grey's
along the
Anatomy.
same token of the shows that they get the higher ratings than most sci-fi shows, Supernatural's still doing pretty great, and
Good.
it's definitely worth watching. And it's getting close to its season finale as well. I believe that is next week.
Did you see that news story that said are the Supernatural fans holding it down? It was some weird thing about like how the storylines are being written right now just to please Supernatural fans, and they think it's keep preventing it from getting a bigger audience.
You can
No,
tell.
no.
There's the current season of Supernatural. For those of you who are or aren't watching it, I guess, is definitely going in a very extreme direction. But I don't think it's going as extreme as I think some of the writers would like. You can kind of tell there's a little bit of
I did read that the stars kind of want out before it gets bad.
Yeah, I think honestly,
That is,
honestly,
Well, you
it,
wanna go
it
out with a
really
bang.
feels like it's
Yeah.
got one more season left, and then after that, it's
should be done.
they should wrap it up next season.
that
and
is
call it
not
good.
an issue for the Smallville actors. I think there's another season coming.
Yeah, wasn't that originally
They're
just
like-
supposed to be 5 seasons?
Yeah, something like that.
yeah. And
Yeah,
they're
it
talking about
wasn't. It was longer.
There's rumors about Michael Rosenbaum coming back.
Oh yeah, well what's he done lately?
What?
Exactly.
It's like
So,
He was
Sorority
the voice
Boys
of the
2,
Green
anybody?
Lantern, right? In the Justice League Unlimited. He was one of the voices in that.
Unlimited.
I don't know.
All right, guys. We really need to talk about Star Trek because this has been hurting me. We saw this.
Voyager, right?
Yeah,
that's right. We're gonna talk specifically about season 3 of Voyager and how much I disliked it. Because seriously, season 3 was
Please state
bad.
the nature of your medical emergency.
Oh, mother of mercy! That guy. Chris, you understand that?
I do understand.
You hate the
I
Doctor
hate
from
him.
Voyager.
I hate him too.
You know, I liked him on some other things.
Let me just be clear about this before we get into the Star Trek movie. I love everything Star Trek except for a few things, and that Doctor is one of those things.
Neelix?
Neelix is one of the others.
Honestly, Voyager for me is
series.
kind of something I can ditch. Because, I mean, hey, they got lost anyway. Why did we need to find the tapes? This isn't like Blair Witch Project where they got lost and we found the tapes. I say we just don't find the tapes.
All right, so
that's my thing.
That said,
worst captain of the
he
lot,
did
too.
redeem. What was it?
Seriously.
I don't know if it was Atlantis. I guess it was Atlantis, right, Brian? I mean, he redeemed himself a little bit. In
Yeah,
Atlantis.
he came back in Stargate Atlantis, and he actually did good in that. He fit very well with the character. But anyway, I digress.
All right, Brian.
We saw this Thursday night, opening night here.
I saw it
in
Friday.
the United States of America. That's all right. No worries, big guy.
Sorry.
You can still hang out with us.
First showing available.
So, first showing available, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys. So, I've got a very distinct opinion on this.
Do we want to structure the way like people tie in? Do we want to go around the room? Or is there any kind of format you want to follow, or what do you want to do here?
Yeah. You know what? I want to
hear... How about lovers versus haters?
Well, I think what we ought to do is...
both.
Hater.
Let's start off. Brian, can you pick a top 3 things you hated and then top 3 things you liked, or no?
Yeah.
All right. So
I can do that right off the bat. I've been thinking about this nonstop.
Okay,
for the
so
last
do you want to
several
start
days.
with, can you make them concise and 3 things you did not like?
You betcha.
All right.
Top 3 things I did not like.
Okay.
I did not like shaky cam. I really don't care for having Star Trek shaky cam. This is not freaking Cloverfield. F you. Sorry. Hold on. Children, close your ears. Fuck you, J.J. Abrams. This is fucking retarded. This is not your goddamn Lost or Cloverfield. This is Star Trek.
Right.
Get with the fucking program.
Is that number 1?
That's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2. The fucking Cloverfield monster in the middle of the fucking ice planet that he shouldn't have been on in the goddamn first place.
Did they
that
not
did
have
not
Briggs?
make sense. This is really, really, seriously, this is retarded. Okay, I'm just going to focus on the monster.
Okay.
There is a scene with a monster fight.
Right.
A monster appears.
Sure.
He's chasing Kirk.
Yeah.
Another monster appears. He eats the first monster, and then the big monster chases Kirk some
why
more.
not?
And then nobody does anything. Kirk doesn't do anything. The monster, he wins. Okay,
well,
great.
Fire is scary.
So he moves on.
On an ice planet, fire is
scary.
scary.
And there's that whole monster thing meant nothing to the storyline, but we had to deal with the goddamn Cloverfield-esque monster.
All right, what's number 2?
That was number 2.
Oh,
Number
three.
3 is the fact that all of the rest of Star Trek is now nullified. All of it. Every single episode of the original series, Next Gen, the animated series, Voyager, Deep Space Nine,
right?
All of the movies now never happened. Now when you go to sit down and you're watching Star Trek The Next Generation and you're like, oh my gosh, there's Kirk. He's hanging out. He's a Borg now. No, that never happened. So that means that you can never again go back and say, I'm going to watch Star Trek and enjoy the hell out of it because it happened. Because in that universe, it never happened. And this includes Star Trek Enterprise because at the end of Star Trek Enterprise, they revealed that all of Star Trek Enterprise was actually just happening on the holodeck of The Next Generation.
Well, not really.
They did. So, therefore, that going on the holodeck that Riker did to re-experience Enterprise
history lesson.
never happened.
All right. Sum up. 10 out of 10 stars.
Okay.
Oh, wait, can I argue that point?
Jeremy,
so there's
just move on.
3 items I didn't care for.
Brian
would you like another 27? Because I have them listed in my top 30
Brian, we got to move
now.
on. Jeremy, why don't you give 3 things you did not like? We're going to do the things we like, too, so don't ever freak out.
Science. I'm a big, I read a bunch of physics books and stuff like that. So
I've always said you're a physics guy.
Yeah. If you want to read a lot,
I like the theoretical stuff. Actually, the last physics book I read was the physics of Star Trek, though. So
nice.
If you want to get into a lot of the interesting science aspects of this movie, TrekMovie.com has a write up by Bad Astronomer, and he goes into the different bads and goods.
I think I'll check that out.
All right, so that's your number 1.
That was my number 1.
Okay, number 2.
It was distracting. I couldn't get into it because of the science
All right,
flaws.
number 2.
I hated the monster as well. It was worthless. And the whole fact that they contrived to have him land on the ice planet. I mean, does the Enterprise not have a brig in this version?
I think Spock was angry.
Well, yeah, but if he was angry, then he should have been taken out of captainship instead of having Yeah.
All right. So and then number 3.
It was bad. Number 3, style. I'm not okay with the way that they updated everything so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Screw those bastards, right?
All right.
I realized that it would have been tough to make it look as retro as the original series. Or
Yeah,
anything
considering
like that.
you have so much material to work from, and it'd be really easy to construct all of that again.
But
That's a
nobody
good
wants
point.
to watch people on the original series
I do.
set, except, you know.
All right. It's John's turn.
Really
John,
bad.
Okay.
3 things you did not
3
like.
things I didn't like. The flares, and I think that's
Yeah.
that's probably because I read that they were distracting, and then
that's
so
on
I
my
extra
list too.
noticed them, but
Yeah.
they really were.
That's
everywhere.
on my list too.
You know, it's 3 for 3, but yeah, just the whole sending him to the ice planet where just spoiler where Spock just happened to be just like right
And
next
Scotty
to where
and
just happened
Scotty
how big is this
just
planet?
happened to be.
How big is this
Yeah.
planet?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
And
it's
his
actually-
stone Ewok
It's
happened
actually
to be
it's a
there.
moon. It's not a planet.
Okay. How big's the moon?
Right.
So anyway, so
A moon of Vulcan which didn't get sucked into the black hole.
Although a black hole doesn't
Science.
actually suck. So technically, the black hole can't
My turn,
actually
it's my
suck in the
turn!
planet like that.
All right. So what's number 3, John?
Let's get into that.
just the reliance on well, actually, you know, the God in the Machine, the black hole droplet maker. I thought that was kind of silly.
The red matter with absolutely
the red
no
matter,
explanation.
which I was like, you know, Chris, you know Star Trek better than I do. Has this ever been? Because I'd never heard it before, and I know Star Trek okay.
You know, I decided not to read the prequel comics before I went to the movie because I heard it might spoil for things. They do explain the origin of red matter, but it's still lame. But you do get like an explanation.
But
of,
you shouldn't have to. I mean,
I agree. No, I completely agree. So that's my number 1 is red matter.
okay.
I thought red matter was weak. I thought it was kind of a cop out. Number 2 was lens flares, and then number 3 was the way they put Kirk on the ice planet. I thought I didn't hate the monster. I thought it was an interesting. I thought it was fun, basically, but I thought it did feel a little forced. I'll almost be okay with Spock ordering him ejected off the ship just because Spock just lost his mom and his planet and he's extra upset, so he just wants to get that mother effer off the ship. So I'm almost okay to let it go there. But it was the monster chase basically served to get Kirk into the cave with Spock.
yeah.
Spock Prime.
Right.
And
Spock Prime.
And I thought that was forced. I thought the red matter was forced.
The name Spock Prime is forced.
The red matter bothers me less now that I've read a good portion of the prequel comic. It bothers me less because it's actually kind of an interesting backstory and how they got it. But yeah.
Oh, I'm going to do one bonus one.
All right.
The promotion system in Starfleet.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Huh. That's a weird one
Now,
too, huh?
Okay. So now let's go around the room. 3 things, Brian, that you liked.
Maybe we should come back.
Wait
to
a minute.
Brian.
No. Hold on. Number 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's over.
Okay.
Number 2.
Doesn't really count though.
Number 2.
Doesn't count at all.
Jeremy?
All right. So Jeremy.
No, wait. Leonard Nimoy. I liked that we
Okay.
had a movie that was sci-fi with Leonard Nimoy in it with a big
Sure.
budget. Because honestly, I like Leonard Nimoy a great deal.
Gotcha.
So it was nice to see Leonard Nimoy.
Gotcha. I agree.
That's.
Okay.
I also like Simon Pegg. Now he did not play a very good Scotty, but
he was only in it for like 20 minutes.
But he was only in it for a little bit, and he was fun while he was in it. And so, honestly, I would have liked to have seen more of the movie be like that, where it wasn't really a mocking of the original characters like they did with Bones. Holy God in heaven, what the hell was that guy doing? But Simon Pegg just was like, you know what? I'm going to play a Scottish guy that's kind of quirky and weird and an engineer. And that was pretty much the only link he had to the original character. And I liked that a lot.
Backstory, which you probably already heard about Simon Pegg playing that character, is he did research on where the character Scotty is from in Scotland.
Yep.
And basically, James Doohan was doing the wrong accent for the region that he came from. So Simon Pegg kind of mixed the two because his wife happened to be from the actual region,
right?
Or his girlfriend. So he kind of mixed the two accents, and then he flew James Doohan's son into town, and then sat down with his son and went over the whole thing and said, "Do I have your blessing on this? My intention is not to duplicate your father, but to sort of be inspired from your father." All right, but okay, Jeremy, 3 things.
Which is great. I thought that's
great. Really cool.
3 things you liked.
My number 1 is actually just the thing that I liked most because it was the one thing that I was most afraid of, the reboot. And the whole, the plot line that led to the, okay, I hate time travel, but it had to be done in that way.
I hear you.
I understand that. But the way that they handled the reboot was done well. I accepted it. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
So, and
it was number 2, things you liked.
Let's see. I really like the actress that was playing Uhura.
Yeah, okay.
She was always somebody that I liked in the original cast movies and everything.
Yeah,
so
I like that too.
it was nice to see more.
All right, and you have a third? Third thing you
God.
liked?
Third thing I liked.
No.
Not
once.
anything specific.
All right, Johnny.
No.
3 things you liked.
I liked a lot of stuff. I enjoyed the movie. I liked how it was kind of seemed like a throwback to the original series in the sense of there's more playfulness to it than some of the other past movies.
Okay.
I thought the actors all did a pretty good job. Without like directly imitating them, other than maybe Carl Urban for Bones.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually have a problem with that. I didn't think he was really making fun of us. He was trying to encapsulate the character.
Bones himself was kind of a caricature of himself. So if you were gonna,
I suppose. I would say he was my least favorite new character though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, by far.
But not totally the actor's fault. Like he was only given a few scenes that weren't reuses of original lines. I mean, you had his meeting of Kirk, which I thought was fun, and you had him kind of being, a good dude on the planet when all the recruits were getting sent off.
Right.
Yeah.
But then outside of that, he kind of just falls into hanging out on the bridge and using some of DeForest Kelly's original lines.
Yeah, good God, man.
All right, so did you do 3?
No, that's 2. That's
okay.
2.
What was your third?
But I would like to say I thought the actor who played Admiral Pike, or Commander Pike, I guess, at the time,
Right.
did a very good job, not just flashing yeses and nos,
Right.
but
Oh,
was
yeah.
very
I
charismatic.
really liked Pike.
Yeah.
I really liked Pike
Yeah.
a lot. I was really pleased with that character, and I don't like the actor himself.
Really?
There's something about him
He's
I don't
all right.
like.
I don't
mind
care
him.
one way or the
I
other.
thought he was
he did
really
fine.
good in this movie, though. I thought he was kind of a standout. Just had
Yeah.
charisma. And
I'm gonna steal that for my number 3.
Okay. And let's see. I liked the story. I did like the story as a whole. I didn't like Jeremy. I didn't mind the reboot. I don't see it the same way Brian does. I don't think it like rewrites everything. I just think of it as kind of like a different universe now.
So it's an entire. So what
no,
you're saying
like
is
it's
it
an
doesn't
alternate
exist.
timeline.
Look, do I get
It's an alternate timeline.
Except that it's
Can
in
I-
the same
can I do my
timeline
3?
because
No?
Spock
Okay.
is there.
I just want to tangent this a little bit. Comic books do this all the freaking time.
Right.
Yes.
We all love comic books.
Yes.
Star Trek hasn't until
Okay.
now.
I want to do my 3 now.
Yeah, it's Chris's turn.
All right.
Okay,
So 3 things that I liked about the new Star Trek
You have to
movie.
start with dislike, I thought.
No, I did my dislikes.
Oh, all right.
Number 1 would be I don't know this is really so much about the movie, but I'm just really happy to have something new Star Trek related.
Mm-hmm.
And after watching Leonard Nimoy on screen, which was amazing, got not only did I get goosebumps the first time he came on screen, but I got goosebumps the second time he came, the second showing when I saw it for the second time. So I
Just
really,
goosebumps, though,
I
huh?
really like
Nothing else
seeing. I really just. Leonard Nimoy played that Spock character. There's the scene where he meets Montgomery Scott, and at that he nailed Spock. See, the thing about Spock is if you watch all of the TV shows and you watch all of the movies, there's a very strong character development arc for Spock.
Yes.
And Leonard Nimoy took where Spock was at the last time we saw Spock in Star Trek The Next Generation when he was on the Romulan planet, and he brought him forward another 10, 15, 20 years. And it was exactly what that character would be if we had him still on the air for another 20 years.
That's true.
So I was extremely pleased with Leonard Nimoy. The other thing I really liked, this is all still kind of my number 1, sorry, but the other thing I really liked is they would not have made the movie if Leonard Nimoy said no, this particular movie, and Leonard Nimoy had contractual sign-off on the actor who was picked to play young Spock. So I liked that it wasn't just a shoehorn, but they actually integrated him very well into the movie, and he was a very important piece of the movie.
Yeah.
I agree that I don't think they could have written William Shatner in. I don't think it would have worked. They did have a scene written where when Spock is finally meeting young Spock and they're saying their goodbyes, Leonard Nimoy whips out a hollow projector, and it's a goodbye message from Kirk that was recorded before he died. But it didn't fit very well.
It
and
sounds forced to me.
it
would have been forced.
That was the problem.
It would have been like the rest of the movie, and that would have just been lame.
But that said, my number 2 thing I really liked is that the whole timeline is completely reset and everything is new again, and we have no idea what's going to happen in movie 2, which I'm sure there will be now that they've had such a hit at the box office, including the fact that old William Shatner his character is not necessarily dead, so we could see Shat in movie 2, as to which J.J. Abrams has said is a strong possibility. So
no,
that's kind of
wait,
cool.
wait.
Because
what are you saying? His old William
because
Shatner is not dead?
William Shatner may never have died on the planet now because it's a different timeline. So we could have old Kirk be played in movie number 2. So that's kind of interesting.
If he went back in time.
If they did a time,
Right.
or if they did like,
There's the only way is if he went back in time.
or they did
and
something.
Star Trek never does that.
Or
I'm
they could
just
do
saying,
something.
you're not going to do that 2 movies in a row.
Well,
like
they could do
that.
something where the movie takes place in the future, like.
So
and
jump
then,
forward in the future and keep it in the same universe, but now use the
No,
original
it would be-
series
Anyway,
actors.
it's possible
be-
for Shat to be in the next
It would be
movie.
Kirk. Only it would be Kirk that's older from
And
the
then in the
Kirk we have
third
now.
movie, there will be.
Yeah, maybe if the Nexus shows up. I mean, no, this is just. I'm not. I
think
don't
it's-
see it.
Well, because now he's not dead, so there's possibilities. There's what I'm saying. There is that
Yeah, but
option.
He
is
doesn't
there.
have to be dead.
He doesn't have
Leonard,
to be dead.
But he was dead when Leonard Nimoy went back in time.
This is why I hate time travel.
Well, see, okay, now time travel
Was he? They
can
didn't
be
say
done.
it.
Well, Leonard Kirk would have been like 200 years old.
Well, when Leonard Nimoy went back in time,
That's what
sure.
I just said.
But
Yeah.
there's
All the other stuff.
That's a whole new Kirk now. I mean, it's a whole new
Yeah.
timeline. So,
Right, but it's
so he's not necessarily going to get
so all that put off to the side. Here's the
he won't
major
necessarily
problem
get
with
swept
all
over
of
the
this.
Nexus and then die on that Viridian
Is
too.
all of the original Star Trek is gone.
Right.
If we follow the current Star Trek, everything is out the door.
Yes.
It is
Different timeline.
It's irrelevant at this point.
Well,
They made it 100% irrelevant because there's nobody to
It's
follow.
a timeline fork.
No, see,
Mm-hmm.
there's shows that revolve around time travel. Let's go with Doctor Who, right? Doctor Who has
What?
been revolving around time travel for the last 1,000,000 years because that's how long Doctor Who's been on.
Exaggeration.
Now, here's the thing, though. Throughout all of that, we've had an anchor, something that we as the viewers could tie ourselves to that said that this is who we are going from. And
the same doctor.
Right. No, it is. It's the same. Well,
It
it's
is,
the
but it's
same
not the
doctor.
same
And there's also, and not just that, but some of the companions have actually experienced much of that time as well. So we've actually been able to enjoy it from the point of view of this is someone who knows a common history to us. Now, in the Star Trek universe, at this point, there's only one person, and that is Old Spock.
Mm-hmm.
So unless the next set of couple of movies are all about Old Spock, all of our past history, all of the
Right.
times we had enjoying Star Trek are down the crapper.
Well, I still enjoyed
Now-
That's
it.
not. Yeah, that's
and
not
it,
the
and
way
it
to
goes
look at
and
it.
it goes further than that. So let's say
I think your Star Trek's too fragile.
no,
I
no,
think- no,
Star Trek's not fragile
I think
at all.
this is a difficult
Star
spot
Trek.
because if you look at it this way, Brian, and and you'll have to admit to this. There's a lot of times where you will say, you know how everything's going to turn out, so it's not interesting to you. And so
Mhm.
this is the position they had to write themselves out of.
That was one of the big things that kept Enterprise from being such a success. Is we all knew where it was going.
No. But see, we didn't know what happened to a lot of the people in Enterprise.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
know.
But
we just knew that Earth existed.
We know very well what happens because those were new characters. These are
Right.
very well
Right, but
established
see, that's,
characters.
but see, this is
We
this
know
is
their
what I'm
whole
saying.
history.
Though. This is what I'm saying.
knew.
Though, is it still? So let's take a step back.
Uh-huh.
Let's say for the sake of argument, the
Right.
current Star Trek movie does very, very well. Now the
It
opening
did.
day weekend was decent, but
It was
it
incredible.
is still
It was really good.
it is still significantly in the red by a lot.
Well, it's made- hold on.
Well, that's after one
the movie.
weekend.
The
No,
movie
this
cost.
is what I'm saying.
The movie cost $150 million. The movie made $78
The initial
million.
production of it, not including the marketing
Right, but in
distribution.
the first weekend it made $78 million, and
right.
then you
now,
figure
how much did Wolverine make second weekend? Just to point this
Second
out.
These are
weekend, 30
two-
something.
This was reviewed better than any other Star Trek movie, though.
Well, this is
Doesn't matter.
the
Yes, it does.
the
Not in
opening.
terms of
Like
money.
This is getting non-Trekkies to watch it, and you still got to consider like foreign box office, and you got DVD sales and everything. It's gonna-
So what you're saying is it's going to make so much money that they're going to make a new Star
Yes.
Trek movie for us every year with the same cast of people
No.
who are getting significantly more expensive.
But-
But going to charge 10 times as much for
They-
movie number 2.
But it already has.
they're going to make more with them. Yeah,
It's
They
already
are.
made. It's already made more money than Batman Begins did,
Mm-hmm.
and it's already made more money than any other Star Trek movie ever has.
for those 3 days.
It is already made. No.
No.
It has already made more money in 3 days than
No,
Nemesis ever did.
This is what I'm saying. It made more money in those 3 days. Not that those movies ever did. The big deal here is not how much does it do the first weekend.
Right.
Now, there have been a lot of movies that make a ridiculous amount of money that do
Sure.
terrible opening weekend and vice versa.
But if
what
but
matters
take a look
is
at this
how
chart
it
if
does
you're watching
going
the
on.
I don't
video
think you're being
version.
realistic. This is obviously going to have legs. This has got a lot of people talking about it, not just Trekkies. I mean, this has
Yeah.
excitement that's just beyond the
Right.
nerdcore.
I mean, if you're watching the
Beyond
video
the
version and you
nerdcore.
can look at this chart here that I have up. This is adjusted actually for inflation too. This movie has already made more money in 3 days. That's the only numbers we have here than Nemesis did. Period.
Sure, that's
ever.
fine.
Which is incredible. Which means we're going to get more Star Trek. Is what that means.
We're definitely getting more Star Trek. Between the reviews and the opening weekend, there's no way we're not getting more.
Here's
well,
the thing
they're already writing the second
as
script
as a likely possibility, based on track record of what we've gotten from people. Well, specifically J.J. Abrams, I just don't see that as likely.
The word is
I'm just going to say, if you're wrong on this, you're wrong on your opinions on the movie. And we'll just see what happens.
The word is that JJ is probably not going to be directing the next one.
Well, that's good. That is a step forward.
Now, here's an interesting thing. This Star Trek movie, on its end, I'm going to point this out. These numbers here, every movie except for Star Trek opened on Wednesday in this chart, and so it includes Star Trek only going from Thursday.
Sure.
Actually, these numbers only include Friday to Sunday, and the numbers for the other movies include Wednesday to Sunday. And still with that, Star Trek made more money opening weekend than The Incredible Hulk, Superman Returns, Batman Begins, and Casino Royale. So they're doing great.
Mm-hmm.
All of which are getting sequels, except maybe Superman Returns.
I think what that means is we're definitely getting more Star Trek. And if you think about it, how could we have done more Star Trek without having a new timeline? Because you like right now, which I think would suck, but right now they could kill Chekhov, and or they could kill Sulu. Whereas
you mean how could they have a new Star Trek the original series without a new timeline? Not how could they have more Star Trek
with these characters, right?
Right, but we don't need to have more of these characters. We're
done
done with that.
There's a certain recipe that these characters bring. There's something about the dynamic of this established character set that I don't know.
I agree with that. I agree with that. The original
Kobayashi
series
Maru.
is
We
my
got to talk
favorite.
about that.
I wasn't a huge fan of the way it played out, but
no, that was lame.
I am glad, though.
That was really lame.
If you remember, the rumor was
that it broke canon, and it didn't officially break canon.
The rumor was he was going to have a girl do it. He was going to have a girl reprogram the simulator. They seem to drop that out.
They did seem to drop that out. That was good. That was very good.
Yeah, I think that I realize it's a difficult thing to. I don't consider all the other canon have been lost.
But it is. In this timeline, it's gone.
But here's the thing, though.
And Vulcan is gone.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome.
I think
Vulcan being gone
just to be clear,
brilliant.
Star Trek II Wrath of Khan never happened.
Right.
Star Trek III Search for Spock cannot happen.
Right.
Oh, the writers have already said they want to talk Khan, though. The writers have already said they want to talk Khan.
Did they?
Want to do Khan.
Yeah. I think. I think the fact. Let's just jump back first. I think
the problem is actually in the timeline that actually can't happen.
I'm going to mute your mic if you don't let me say
this. They actually delayed the
2,
launching of Enterprise.
1. Okay. I think the fact that Vulcan was destroyed was brilliant. First of all, it's something big. It's movie big. And one of my complaints been about Insurrection and Nemesis is that nothing movie big happens.
They were more like episodes.
Yeah. And this is one of those things where it's movie. And on top of that, Vulcan being gone doesn't really bring anything doesn't take anything away from Star Trek that we could already have, but it adds a lot in the sense that now we have Vulcans, but they can be kind of like
we have 2,000 Vulcans,
10,000 refugee Vulcans, which I think is kind of an interesting concept. You take this civilization who's proper and has this huge long history, and now they've been totally turned up on their heads, and they're still Vulcans, but they're not necessarily the Vulcans that we know. And there's even for their race, there's interesting developments there.
Well, that could be huge in the Federation universe because at this point in the timeline, the Federation was basically Earth and Vulcan. And a couple hangers on.
Well, yeah, I mean there was
more, but I mean but Vulcan was a key power.
I think too, though, that
Orion slave girls apparently.
I think it's just
someone in the forum or in the chat room just brings up a great point. With Vulcan gone, they can't save the whales now.
Well, and they can't go back and do a mock time where Kirk and Spock battle. But
there's so
I
many
still think
things
though
we lose.
It's like one of those things that you could do that's like big epic for a movie and doesn't overall really affect Star Trek. Because it's like, yeah, you've lost Vulcan, but what does that really from the core take away? Other than it just adds something interesting to that race, and it is very awesome.
One of the great things that really got us to love...
it was balls to destroy Vulcan.
It was really big balls.
It was huge balls.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't bother to look up Wikipedia and see what a black hole would do to a planet.
No.
So, I mean, that's cool. We live on the internet now. But just the same, one of the things that got us to love the original series was we got more than a few movies of them.
Mhm.
We got a lot of them. And what made
Right.
Kirk was that we had a number of episodes, a lot of episodes that were ridiculous with random chick of the weeks and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
People who were pretending to be, gods from Earth and all sorts of stuff. That was awesome. That's what made it have character. That's what made Star Trek awesome.
Oh, Planet of Mafia people.
Now, the good news is because we rebooted it with expensive actors, with an expensive scale, we ain't going to get that.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Well, they
The
are.
Those are
best-
episodes. Those are episodes. Those are not movies.
This is exactly what I'm saying.
Well,
we
they're-
don't get that in this new universe that's totally rebooted and everything is thrown out the window. We do not
Well, hold
get
on now.
those moments.
This is potentially good.
It's
so
gone.
the two writers that worked with JJ they wrote basically most of the script. One of them, huge Star Trek guy. One of them not. I'm blanking on their names right
One
now.
of them's still a Star Trek guy, just not as much
Yeah.
as the other guy.
Closer to the mic a little bit.
Sorry.
To the mic. They
First time podcast.
were contacted by Paramount outside of. So this is interesting. The way this movie was made, it was actually financed and produced by Bad Robot and then handed
Right.
over to Paramount. So now Paramount has come to these two writers outside of the Bad Robot company and asked them to write an outline for a potential TV series that reuses the movie sets. And they haven't taken down the movie set. I mean, they've taken them down, but they haven't destroyed them. Like, they're all in parts.
Yeah.
So it's all hearsay, but it is an interesting potential.
Okay.
That's one way they could do a TV show on a
They could
budget
do
by
more
reusing.
ridiculous things that
they
Brian
they
likes.
could if they go forward with that and they create a whole series and multiple series potentially out of it, then it starts to become more interesting. But if all we get is a couple of movies
Right.
with a ridiculously expensive cast, seriously, the guy who's playing Sylar on Heroes is going to get pricey, as
Yeah.
is a number of those
Yeah.
other
Well,
actors.
yeah, they
and
will.
there
They
is
eventually
no
will, yeah.
way on God's green earth that they are going to pay an ensemble cast like this that is going to charge that
Well,
much
I mean,
money.
I don't know. See, look,
As
it
the
is,
way it works,
like-
they're already signed on for the next one. Like,
But
if they
see-
signed on for this one, they're signed on for at
And they're
least one
making
more.
great cash. So
And you
I
know
mean-
what? They
Yeah.
rebooted the whole universe,
But it's
so
not
if
a
they get
matter
too
of the
expensive, you
actors.
can kill them.
Yeah,
And what this
exactly.
does, Brian, is it drums up interest in Star Trek. So this is going to get another series. It doesn't even have to be related
no,
to
it
this
drums
cast.
up. It drums up interest in something new. It's like
they can create a whole new, not related to the original series at all. Just cast. It could be 300 years in the future. It doesn't matter. They can
Right.
They can start from there because the interest
Yeah.
is there again.
Yeah. So
I don't know. To me, honestly, this feels like the difference between, let's say, Superman of the '80s and Smallville. Because they went in, they rebooted it, they restructured it, they declared the rest of the stuff as never happened, and let's watch them as they grow. Let's watch Muppet Babies as they grow up, and there'll be these new characters, and we'll have new adventures, and that could be great. Except that we didn't reboot it in a TV show form, we did it in movie form,
Right.
and we did it with some actors who are already expensive, which means even if we bring in
Only one actor.
Who's
400.
expensive right
well,
now?
and he's not even that expensive.
But
Who's Siler's the most expensive one, probably, right?
He's getting there. See, this is the thing. This is a vehicle film where even though it's an ensemble,
I would
it's
say
still
I
a
wouldn't.
vehicle
I wouldn't
film.
worry too much about the price of the actors.
I wouldn't
because
either.
if you think about what
But
these
we
guys,
need to even worry
Hold
about
on.
that about Batman.
Hold on a
This is a
second.
problem even for that,
Stand
and
by.
that's not an ensemble.
If you think about the cost of these actors compared to the cost of the original cast, I mean, they got up there, and those movies make considerably less than this movie did already. So
Sure.
I don't think the cost of the actors is really something to be concerned about, more than it is, just the fact that if those
Plus, you
actors
keep-
become big, then they might not want to do the
There's-
show.
You
There's
keep saying
concerns.
ensemble though, and that also in Hollywood that has a tendency to bring people in for cheaper
it
because
does.
they
That's
enjoy
true.
working with the same group of people.
And if that works
go.
out, that would be great. However,
I wouldn't worry about this until it
Yeah,
does become a problem, if it does.
and they now have the luxury where they can kill
what
any one of them.
show on earth are you on right now? This is a sci-fi show where we're talking about Star Trek. Of course,
Right.
I am going to worry about
Well,
what
but
they're
here's the
going to
thing.
do
No,
with
I'm just-
Star
I'm just-
Trek.
I'm just saying that, like, I don't
We are
think
the
that cast
exact
problems-
kind of people that should be staying up at night worrying
I
about
think-
what they're doing
I
with
think-
Star Trek.
I mean, one of the benefits to the reboot would be that they can kill any of them if they were an issue.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that is true. And
which would be extra sad, though.
that would
Yeah.
exactly, that would just suck.
It would. I mean,
But it doesn't matter
it's
because
now a
none
card
of the
that's on the
rest
table.
of the series
Yeah.
has ever happened.
Adding a whole new dimension of depth to the Star Trek universe that we haven't previously had. I mean,
Don't-
we knew.
Don't you like not knowing? I mean,
Yeah,
I-
it's great.
I think
Yeah,
that's really
but-
neat.
In all the previous Star Treks that we've ever had, we always did not know.
But the problem is this takes place before those. So if they followed that timeline exactly, then you would know that Spock's going to live to be 150, and you don't have to worry about Spock dying. So it's there. And Brian,
now he has to because he's the reason for this.
You personally
reboot,
have a big issue with that. Whenever we go see anything like that,
right? Actually, I'm not 100% certain what you're saying because
I'm saying if
we
they
rebooted.
I'm saying if they didn't reboot, per your recommendation, then we would know that Spock is never going to be
you mean
harmed.
if we were doing an original series remake and didn't reboot?
Yes.
Oh, well, no, there's two things. If you're making a remake, you're remaking it. You're starting from scratch
right,
anyway
which
with a reboot. Which is, no. This is not a reboot. This is a direct timeline continuation, which is why they had the original Spock in it. What they did is they nullified
it's
without...
It's a reboot in disguise. It's still a reboot.
No.
It is.
I'm going to call it... This is Star Trek. In Star Trek, we nitty-pick the details, and we call them out for exactly what it is. If they get the nacelles wrong,
it's
we
a
yell
reboot
at
in
them.
disguise.
It's a reboot, yeah.
But it's a direct timeline continuation, right?
I think you're both
that's
right.
the disguise part.
That's exactly. Well, no, it's not in disguise. It is what it is. Now, you guys can look at it from a non-Star Trek
used
perspective.
as a device to reboot the series.
I don't see how. I mean, Brian, just take for example. I mean, there are examples within Star Trek where something happens in an alternate timeline and it changes the actual real show timeline.
Yes.
So that's all that's
Star
happened
Trek
here.
4.
That's all. I mean, well, I was thinking even on a smaller scale. Denise Crosby, she dies.
Right.
Then she comes back in an alternate timeline.
Yes.
Then she goes back to another timeline and then comes back later as a Romulan.
Right.
So that is on a much more micro scale.
No, I agree.
Something from the main line, someone dies, then in another timeline, they come back to the main line, and they come back. I mean, so that's this
and that
concept
sort of thing happens.
It's established.
of redirecting components of the timeline is not foreign to Star Trek.
I agree. It is not foreign to Star Trek
So,
at all. And I have no problem with it.
I think the reboot itself...
I think I know you and John are very, very anti-time travel in general. I love time travel.
I think the reboot itself is very Star Trek. I think the way they executed it is very Star Trek. Like you take a look at yesterday's Enterprise, where the Enterprise gets sent back, and then they end up having to beam that guy that was in the fighter jet aboard. And they bring him on like, well, nothing really important happens to you, so we're not going to do anything with you. Okay. And then they find out that guy was the father to a child who makes something really big happen, so they have to return him. Well, what had just happened here was they went back in time, they killed a father, then the child ended up differently.
Sure.
So this very nature of this reboot is exactly Star Trek.
But then wouldn't the very nature of the events that unfolded in the movie therefore prevent themselves from happening? That's why I hate
No, because it's an alternate universe. This is mirror Star Trek without the mustache. It's basically what we have right now.
It's a fork because on top of that, you still have...
I'll go with that.
Which are not considered official canon, but you still have...
No, it's not official canon. There's no way this can be official canon.
You still have...
It
no,
nullifies
I'm saying
everything.
there's still books
going
that
forward.
are coming out that continue the original timeline.
By
and
William
you still
Shatner.
have Star Trek Online, which continues the original timeline. So there's still devices. This is a clear fork where we have inspirations drawn, and we have interesting characters that we know and we're interested in, and we have the Enterprise, and we have all that kind of crap, but we don't know what's going to happen.
Really, what we have right now is we have... It's like with Battlestar. We had Battlestar 78, which had a big cult following. We had books, including books written by some of the actors, which is what we have now with William Shatner coming out with a lot of Star Trek books, and they actually continue that. And then they had the reboot that completely screwed the pooch on everything, and that's exactly what we have right now. A bigger budget reboot. Now hold on. I think this is a fairly fair comparison. When we saw Battlestar, it had every advantage in the world of making itself into what the original Battlestar could have been, the new Battlestar. They didn't because, well, I think they left a lot of the original stuff behind and they screwed the pooch.
But
that's what I see the current ones doing. And now you guys can point it to me. And throughout all of Battlestar, everyone kept pointing to it and saying, "See, it's being successful. See, people like it. See the rave reviews." And Brian, you're wrong on that. And then we got to the end, and everyone's like, "Well, shit, Brian was right the whole damn time."
But
this show is ass.
There were some good.
What's the major?
Was good at
hold on,
points
let's not
that got
argue. Let's not argue Battlestar Galactica versus.
You're
Battlestar.
right.
I'm just saying.
Go listen to old episodes of CastaBlasta.
What is the major component difference there?
Between Battlestar and the new Battlestar?
No, Battlestar and Star Trek.
Between Battlestar and Star Trek is in the current Star Trek, they threw away thousands of times more material and more history.
So they
that's one of the biggest differences.
So there's not even original material for them to deviate from. That's one. And then 2.
No. There is, because we
But
still
now
have
it's been
timeline.
nullified.
But see, they did the same thing with Battlestar.
And
That's
then-
the exact same thing because they started from the same point and they said
No.
that's
No, it's-
nullify it going
No,
forward.
they in Battlestar they never had an active moment that
That
actually
right.
just cuts all
they
that
just
crap off.
they just, as you guys say, rebooted. It's just they
now,
didn't have
but
a
here's
a
the
plot
other
device for
major
it.
component, and that would be Battlestar Galactica got ran over by Ronald Moore. I mean, he's the one that decided to take that
J.J.
down the
Abrams
pooper.
does
Yeah, Brian saying
great
J.J.
TV
did the
shows.
same
But
thing
here's
with
the
Star
difference. Here's the difference.
Right.
J.J. Abrams is a one-time director, maybe two-time director.
Sure.
When you go into the movie, they're going to have different directors. They're going to have different people come in, different writers each time.
Right.
Whereas Battlestar
Sure.
Galactica was stuck with Ronald D. Moore, and he ruined it.
And
If they would have
No,
brought
I
in
think
somebody
you're
else,
right on that.
if
You
they
are
would have
right
brought
on
somebody
that.
else, I think we would have had a better. I mean, it's a loss.
Yeah, that is very
agree.
potential.
I agree. And we can't say that there aren't going to be like future bad Star Trek movies. There might be, but you
Right.
can't. That doesn't take away from this movie
Right.
working and
No, no,
and this
it
concept
does.
working.
It absolutely
doesn't
does.
at all.
And here's
There were
the
bad
reason.
movies with the original timeline.
Well, there were some horrible ones. I mean, come on. I mean, there were some. I couldn't stand Nemesis, to be honest with you. But just the same, that the way they did Nemesis didn't nullify the timelines for
Right.
Star Trek 2. Star Trek 2, one of the most amazing movies ever. Star Trek 6, amazing
but,
movies.
You know, the way I look at it is
those didn't happen in this
you
universe,
still
Chris.
have
you
Star
cannot
Trek
look
2.
forward to those movies.
But you still have Star Trek 2. I wouldn't want.
It's still there.
I would not want a new Star Trek Wrath of Khan. I would not want.
I
that.
wouldn't either.
well,
actually.
it's apparently it's coming, right?
Well, they
I-
talked
I
about
hope
wanting to
not.
play with Khan.
Oh,
is
great.
what they've said. And
Great.
actually,
No,
to be honest,
that's
I'm not
cool.
really looking forward to that
They did
either.
it in Enterprise too. They brought forth the what did they call them? The guys that were genetically engineered.
Well, now, okay,
Yeah.
if they do it kind of like how they did in Enterprise, then some of those episodes were really good.
Yeah.
Some of them were.
But I honestly don't want to see the Search for
But
Spock.
in that one,
and
they
I
were
don't-
attempting to give history
I don't want to
for
see.
it.
I don't want to see any of those movies remade because those movies
Right.
are those movies for me. And
They don't need to.
and-
Yeah, I think they'll recognize
and
it.
I
I
have
do
those.
not think that they'll actually try to remake
with
something.
this reboot, I want to see a new adventure. I want to see something different because I can always go back and rewatch the old stuff and still enjoy it. And so I don't. I hope
it's
they do
the
not try to
difference
redo those
between
movies.
reading The Amazing Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man. You know, it's
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's
I
just a
see, yeah.
fork. It's a new story, same
Mhm.
people, but we can enjoy it because
But
we have an emotional.
It doesn't
investment
take
in
away from the
characters
other
that we
one. It's
know.
just a different way of looking at it.
But along the same token, if you're looking at, like Spider-Man versus Ultimate Spider-Man, I mean, there are some people that will not read the Ultimates.
Yeah, that's true. Mhm.
They're
And-
lost.
and
Ultimate
that's-
Spider-Man is awesome.
I will not read Ultimate Spider-Man.
I think just to touch on a couple more aspects of the movie. So in Nemesis, this is really funny, right? Because one of the big deals about this movie is they keep talking about how the CG, how this was the first movie with all the ships being CG, but that was actually Nemesis was the first movie where all the
Yeah.
ships. And
they did a good job with the special effects. I
I
gotta
think
give them that.
my comment has been on previous Star Trek movies is that the ships never felt big. I rewatched Star Trek 1 and 2, a couple of different scenes, a couple of key scenes to kind of get some perspective on this movie.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
the Enterprise looks big in those models. I think they accomplished that with the CG. The Enterprise, there's
a specific scene I remember from the film that really brought it home.
where it looked big to you. I
Yeah.
mean, it looked like it had weight.
There was in that initial space battle where it was Kirk's dad saving the old
Oh,
ship.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a shot where a gal was running down the hallway and the
Mhm.
wall gets blown out and she gets sucked out into space.
Oh,
And
yeah,
you
yeah.
get
That
the
was
direct
cool.
camera following her
Oh,
out
yeah.
through the hole in the
smacks
It was a
off
good
it.
shot. It was definitely a good shot.
I liked also, I'm glad one of the things I didn't like about the Enterprise E was that it was like hidden photon torpedo bays and hidden phaser arrays, and like you never really could quite tell where a shot was coming from.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I really liked about the movie refit of the original series was, this is where the phaser turrets are. This is where the
Yeah, they did
torpedoes come
nicely
from,
with
and
that.
we got
Mhm.
that again,
Got
which
it
is
detailed.
cool.
They did do that good. They did that fairly right. I didn't care for the new ship design at all.
No, neither did I.
And
I think it had-
despise
Fine with
the
it.
bridge design.
I think, I don't like the bridge at all. I think it had.
I really also didn't like Spock doing Uhura.
I think it had interesting. The new ship design
Mm.
looked
A
kind
lot
of
of people
interesting at certain
didn't.
angles, which was kind of cool. But
I got it.
the lens flare thing, I know they've admitted that was over the top, but their whole thought was it makes it feel like there's a lot going on, off camera. But it was
No,
just,
I read that they wanted to make space like colorful and like bright.
It was just annoying.
Not just dark.
It was
Yeah,
just- it was
I
just
agree.
annoying.
I agree.
And
They
I
overdid
was-
it. A little bit
yeah.
would be fine, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
You mentioned it as one of your top 3. It was probably 4 or 5 on mine with lens
Yeah.
flare.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah,
because
that
I
was a
read
bit
about
much.
it. Like I had read that it was a problem before going
Yeah,
into it,
yeah.
so I
You looked
extra
for it.
noticed it.
I did
yeah.
the same thing. Yeah.
It's annoying.
Uh,
It's annoying.
No, I
Dollhouse.
actually at
Honest-
one point it kept happening over and over as they changed scenes, and at one point I went, "Stop it!" I actually said that in the
Yeah.
theater.
So there's probably one thing that
Shaky cam.
we kind of I don't like. I actually didn't notice it as much, but I think
Drives me crazy.
I think it's because I've become a little shaky cam numb, which is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
It's
think
very
I'm sure they
common.
had
Thanks,
it.
JJ.
I think they had it in this. I'm sure they had it, but like compared to some other movies, it wasn't as bad. I thought. But one thing, I think this is gonna probably you're not gonna agree with this, Brian, but they actually when they
What?
did follow canon, they actually did things fairly right.
They did some things actually fairly right. Yeah,
like-
they obviously had some people who knew at least something about Star Trek.
Right, and
that was nice.
And one thing that we had given a hard time on the show was that the Enterprise was built on the surface of the planet. Well, that actually is true. The thing that's according to the original series, I decided to look this up. The original series says it was built in San Francisco, and then it says it was built on the planet. It's not. So they contradict themselves.
Not in Iowa.
Really?
And then they say it's finished in space, and then the other one
Right.
says it was built and finished in San Francisco. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I did some Google searching around, and I guess the original Matt Jeffries, who did some of the original design of the Enterprise, did some sketches of
He
actually
made the tubes.
right. Well, and he did some of the external designs. He did some
Jeffries
sketches
tubes.
of Enterprise being built on the surface.
That's
so
what they're named after.
But not in Iowa.
no, not but
Also, canyon in Iowa. Where's that?
well, no. Kirk was born in Iowa. That's
Right.
No,
But there's a huge canyon.
No, the
canyon.
Grand Canyon's in
Oh,
Iowa
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know. I thought you said
Well,
canon.
that's alternate timeline.
They took liberties
When
with
Romulan
with-
flies through
with
time and there's a canyon.
building in Iowa
Seriously.
was kind of weak, but they took liberties with that because in the original series, there's an episode where they just say it's built on the surface of the planet.
Okay.
of Earth.
And
So-
you know what? The thing is, I'll give him that. You know what? I'll roll with that. I think
We
it
had
was weird.
previously railed against it, but
Yeah, earlier
but
you
I'll roll
were
with
not
it.
okay with that at all.
but you know what? But see, you know what it is? It's there's so much to dislike
JJ,
about this movie.
JJ
It's-
I
Abrams-
so disagree. I really enjoyed this movie. I was nervous. You know, I'm not the Abrams hater that you are, but I was nervous
Well,
when
I
I went
think
in.
I
and
think that's
liked
a
it.
great deal. I
JJ
think,
Abrams is in our chat room, and he's not really agreeing too much with Brian, but he did agree with a couple points.
he
with
said
Brian.
thank you, Brian,
Yeah.
repeatedly.
Yeah.
So JJ Abrams actually is agreeing specifically with me. He thinks he's retarded.
we'll talk about Lost later, JJ.
So no, honestly, all right. So in my review scale, I'm going to say that right now the public's probably going to give this movie an A-, and then I think about 5 years from now, every Trekkie will give it an F- at best.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, I so disagree.
You know,
now I think the public may still like it. Still, I think there might still be an additional movie or two, but I think that's at most we can possibly hope
See,
for.
the thing
I
is,
don't think we're going to get a
they're
series.
bringing in so
I
many
do-
new Trekkies.
I do agree with
this
that.
film.
I think we're
They're
probably
not bringing in Trekkies. They're bringing in people who like, I don't know,
Sci-fi movies.
Grey's Anatomy.
well.
or
That's actually
Lost,
no, actually
or Battlestar
hold up.
Galactica
What's-
with
what are you
boxing
saying?
in
that's
space.
actually the downside is the exit polls are right now looking like it's primarily Star Trek fans with only a little bit pickup in the general public. So that's actually a bad sign. But they're watching. They're doing the polls. But that's one thing. But I agree. I think we might get one, maybe two more movies at the most,
and
out
then
of
it's
this.
done.
And I don't think we're going to get a TV show because Paramount will storyboard and Paramount will build sets and Paramount will spend millions of dollars on,
Right.
on something Star Trek and then never.
And then never do it.
Yeah.
This is their established track record. And there is the major problem. Even if it does great,
I mean,
what happens when they're done with these let's say 5 years from now, these actors are way too expensive, so we can't reuse all of them. So we need to move on to a
but
new
again,
property.
I don't think that's going to be an issue because they're never going to be.
Of course it's going to be an issue.
Scale wise, 5 years from now, they're still going to be cheaper than the people that have been doing Star Trek for 30 years. They're never going to be.
They'll be cheaper than Patrick Stewart.
They'll be cheaper than Patrick Stewart. They'll
Yeah.
be cheaper than William Shatner. They'll be way the F cheaper than Leonard Nimoy. So I mean,
That's
I never
true.
really think that's going to be too much of an issue. I
And
think
what if they
I think
bonded
if,
it?
I think if these polls are showing that it's new Star Trek fans, but it's not like it's not like an overwhelming amount of new Star Trek
But
fans.
what the thing is even so. Let's say we get 2 or 3 more movies.
Right.
What else can they do? it's
They
in
can
a
do
horrible
anything, though.
it's in a
They
horrible
really can.
position.
It's in a fantastic position.
They
I
can
mean,
do whatever they want now.
Yeah, they're not limited to any
Well,
particular.
yeah, not only can they continue this timeline, but they can go back to the other one. They've established now the fact that this timeline is free to fracture.
they can't go back to the other one.
I don't think they'll go back, but I
They
think
can't do it.
It'll have to be different, and it'll be interesting seeing what
the
is
next
different.
movie. The next movie is.
Well,
It would
now,
be
hold back
just
up just a sec
as-
because
it
they're
would
doing.
mo-
I mean, it's not a movie, but there's Star Trek Online is coming out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is a big
Which
thing
has
for Trekkies.
no bearing on this
No,
movie.
it has. It's in
It's
fact
in the
completely-
actual universe.
It's in
Right.
the original universe.
So
not in the forked
this
right.
the online
Thank you,
game and
Cryptic
this movie
Studios.
cannot interact in any way.
in any way.
No, because one can't exist with the other.
Right.
Now, okay, so I think what we have now is movie number 2 has the potential to be really good because you have the crews established; they're all in their spots. You don't have to have the meeting everybody.
Someone in
and
the
all
IC
Yeah.
chat room just brought up one really great point. Tribbles.
that. Tribbles
We're-
were in the movie.
Yep.
There was one.
There's one.
Well,
Simon
we
Pegg's
don't know how
desk.
many were in there, but there was a cage with Tribble or Tribbles in it on Scotty's desk.
Yeah.
And then also there will be a Klingon Ruopente scene on the DVD, which got
Ooh.
cut.
Ooh.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll be buying.
that's
this
where
one.
Nero was during the 25 years. He was in Ruopente.
Oh really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I thought he was
Really?
making a canyon in Iowa.
Really?
Yeah, and so
He was in Repente?
so I guess the scene.
Really?
And, well, here's what you won't like about this, Brian, is I guess the scene was written just for Star Trek fans. Like it's nothing but stuff that Star Trek fans would like.
Oh, that's
So
what they think of us. Awesome.
So they cut. Well, no,
is
it's
Iman in it?
it's Klingons. It's him escaping
Oh,
from
yeah,
Ruopente.
that's right.
It's it's all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
The Klingon
No, and that
Tribunal.
is really great.
I think
can't wait to see it.
I'll definitely watch it because they left all of the special effects in, and I think the if you remember, Uhura translates a Klingon armada being destroyed
Yes.
by. I think that battle is also in the cut.
Oh, that's
Just
gonna
out
be
of
fun.
curiosity, Chris, since you watched that movie, have you watched any of the original movies since then?
Yeah, I went back and I watched Star Trek 1 and 2 in parts.
Yeah. See, I watched Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 6 because I mean, come on, Star Trek 2 and 6.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
uh,
I decided to go the Star Trek 1 route because Star Trek 1, the motion picture,
Yeah.
is so different than,
So
than
very
the TV
different.
series. So it's almost it was in a very rough sense a reboot itself in one way because
Kirstie Alley's thin.
it's well, she's not in that one, but it's
Oh, yeah, she's in
it's
Con.
so different that I thought, well, this would be a good perspective to see what a very, very different movie is, but with the same cast. So I watched that, and then I watched part of 2.
and they're better.
I don't know actually.
They're classic.
It's hard for me
Give it a few months
because I love all things Star Trek, but I think this movie was better than probably Star Trek 1, 3, 4, or 5.
Wow.
I think maybe
Which one
not
was 5?
maybe not 2 and maybe not
was that
6.
Final Frontier.
I
God.
would agree with that actually.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I think it was better than 1, 3, and 5, and
But hey,
possibly 4 too.
the plus side though is those don't ever happen again. So final
Right.
score, you guys give this A pluses because you want to suck on JJ Abrams really
I
hard?
think I give it well, I mean, I had issues with the Ice Moon.
Mm-hmm. It has its issues. I just thought
yeah,
it was enjoyable.
And I do
and
also
it
have
obviously
issue.
means that we're going to get lots more Star Trek TV and movies now, right?
I had issues with the way Kirk got ranked up too, which
Yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah, it was dumb.
All of the issues.
Movie was dumb.
but
It had really good sci-fi special effects, but it was dumb.
I think it's probably in the low A, high B range for me.
Me too.
Yeah.
87 to 90.
I
around
think
there,
it'll probably
someplace in
be
there.
the best movie I see this summer.
Huh.
I don't know. I'm waiting
I
to
don't
see
know about
Terminator.
that.
I think it's going to be the best out of the big movies coming out this summer. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. So
Yeah, it
because,
could be.
and
What about Harry
realistically,
Potter?
I think they're making a new Debbie Does Dallas movie.
I'm
That
glad
might
to
be
have
better.
some new Star Trek. All right.
I mean, in terms of script.
all right, Brian. What would you rate this one?
Oh, F minus for sure.
Oh, okay.
And specifically as a movie, if it had nothing to do with Star Trek, I'd give it a B. But the fact that they specifically made it so
Sure.
they're like, you know what, we want to make it so maybe people enjoy Star Trek
so
a little
you
less.
would have liked it if
That
it
pissed
was
me off.
a new cast and crew.
Absolutely. New cast and crew. You know what? Reboot it completely. Say, you know what? This is a whole different thing. We're going to go with the idea of Star Trek.
But wouldn't that still have the same effect of wiping out all the
Not at all. Because if you rebooted it completely and had no direct timeline continuation, you could say that the current Star Trek is Star Trek. And this new thing is just a new thing that they created, and you could enjoy it on its own merit.
So no Kirk, no Spock, like the crew of the USS Defiant.
Just make it a whole new thing. Or even keep the same kind of characters and name them the same, but don't have the continuation timeline thing where you nullify the timeline. Because as soon as you nullify the timeline, you make it so that it's tied to all the stuff that previously we've already seen and loved.
And that's why
that will never happen again.
Don't you think there's a certain
the problem.
Connection with those characters
that's why I'm saying you can have those characters. You can just do a full reboot. Don't give us any reason for it. Just do the freaking reboot.
Oh, I see.
Don't time travel Spock back in time. Just do a reboot.
So
then I can still have Star Trek 6 and love it not have it not ever happen again.
Your issue is that they jettisoned canon by using canon, essentially.
Exactly. Basically, they took canon and they did what they could to make it so that none of the canon that exists ever happens.
So to sum up, you hate this movie because of Leonard Nimoy. Because if he hadn't screwed up on not blowing up or putting the red matter into the star, none of this would have happened. So you're kind of saying that you hate Leonard Nimoy.
Actually, I hate this movie because of Lost. Because if Lost hadn't existed, there's no way JJ would have been successful enough
that's wrong.
in order to make this.
Felicity Alias.
No, this is what I'm saying, though. But I don't think he would have had the opportunity to make Star Trek.
All right. So, Jeremy, what would your rating be?
Again, low A.
Okay.
This, like I said, I'm too much of a science geek. It really took me out of it. I enjoyed the film, but there were so many
definitely
points.
go to trekmovie.com and
there were so many points in the movie where I just went, come on.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that just happens in
general. It does. I mean, you look at it.
It's just
like I said to John.
But you know what? The people of Star Trek, the people that write it and come up with some of the concepts, they know that this stuff is sometimes way off base.
Oh, sure.
But they usually try to explain around it. They give it at least... tongue-in-cheek effort.
DC Fontana, David Gerald,
this
Larry
time they
Niven,
just said
Walter Koenig.
It's red matter.
A bunch of great writers that they won't let anywhere near
John,
the new
before
movies.
I forget, I know
because they know they'd make it too good.
We'll get to your grading in here in a second, but I really dug the new transporter effect.
I thought it was good.
I liked that they used a lot of the sound from the original, and I thought it looked cool. Like it
did look cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just thought that was really cool. But all right, so John,
that was cool.
What was your rating?
You're right, Chris. You're right. Upgraded. F.
Just with like you and Jeremy, I'd say low A.
Okay.
Low A.
All right. I think there
were problems with it, but it was highly enjoyable. I'm looking
forward
to seeing it again.
I do also agree with you. This will probably be the best film I see this summer. Unless Terminator just blows me away.
I'm looking forward to Terminator.
To wrap this to conclude maybe the review, it might be interesting to end on a note that well, first of all, it was awesome to hear Majel Roddenberry's voice on the Enterprise, and then she died 2 weeks after recording it. So that was
cool.
That was very cool. And then also along the same lines, when Gene Roddenberry was not doing so well, he made one public appearance for a NASA event, and at the event, he was asked in kind of a foreshadowing text, if you pass on, and Star Trek continues, what do you hope happens to it? And Gene Roddenberry's, and you can find this online, there's a quote. Gene Roddenberry's quote was that he hopes that years down the road, someone younger takes it and redoes it better. That they take it and they redo the whole thing. And that's exactly what happened here. And
no, it's not.
It is what happened.
If they redid the whole
what
thing,
happened.
I'd be fine with it. It's that they did a continuation of the existing.
But if you think about it, I think what they did is, and I know we'll probably wrap it.
That's very different.
I think they've taken the best, and then they've given something, and they've brought something new to it. So you have Kirk, you have Spock, you have Bones, you have the Enterprise, you have Scotty.
It was something old, something new,
right?
Something borrowed.
I thought
some of the characters are just caricatures of the originals.
Well, first of all, yes, Simon Pegg though.
Simon Pegg was great,
amazing,
fantastic. I should write him a love letter.
Siler, I'm down. I'm down.
I'm totally down.
I'm down with Siler.
Try and find an actor who looks more like Leonard Nimoy.
Only one I have an issue with is and knowing that he had Leonard Nimoy's personal buy-off, but the only one I had an issue with is Dr. McCoy.
I like Dr. McCoy too. It was a different performance than the other ones.
I didn't dislike it, but I felt like it was too much of a caricature of the original.
It was that was the whole point of it, I think. It was comedic relief as a caricature.
His method to prepare was a lot different than the other actors. So, although at the same time, if you're going to caricature a specific character, that would be the easiest one to do.
That would be the easiest one.
Because
As I said, he's already a character.
And the
of
Shat
himself.
would be nearly
Yeah.
impossible. And Scotty, I think, was done right. And Chekhov, I thought, was good. And I thought Sulu was good. So there you have it.
All right. So if you guys have an opinion on this, if you think that my three co-hosts are retarded in the brain, because obviously Star Trek is ass in this new movie. When I say Star Trek, I mean JJ's Star Trek. Head on over
'cause he
to
wrote the whole thing.
our JupiterColony.com, which is
Yeah.
where we've moved the forum to. We had some forum issues, so we kind of moved the forums offsite.
JupiterColony.com.
You can still get to us at jupiterbroadcasting.com/forum, and it'll forward you on there. But jupitercolony.com, that's where the forum's living now. We've moved everything over, so all your usernames and your posts or anything else
Yeah,
still there.
we did it right.
So head on
did
over
it.
there,
Well
jump
done.
on in there, and just yell
Yep.
about how much you hate J.J.
There's
Abrams,
a-
and I will be there cheering. It'll
There's
be
a
great.
Star Trek thread. Let's do it. Let's keep. There's a thread for the Star Trek movie. Your thoughts, and then let's do your thoughts on our review in the thread for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
for sure.
that's a lot of structure.
Yeah.
All right,
Mhm.
guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week. I think we've said what we needed to say.
We had a lot to say.
Tiny
We did.
Grasshopper says Brian's living in Wrongtown.
Yeah. No, honestly, I don't doubt
No,
it.
he just
I
has a
think
summer
it's-
home there.
I think
He's
I
been
think
promoted to medium-sized
I
grasshopper.
think I'm going to be on the wrong side of public opinion for the next year or two, and then
That's
it's going
all
to
right.
shift. But
Maybe
that's what it was with Battlestar.
it's very possible.
That's what it's been with
I think-
everything I've ever presented my opinion
But
on.
Battlestar was an
CastaBlasta.
ongoing thing. We're only going to see it.
The difference between
well-
Battlestar is the pilot for Battlestar was good. It just was good, and
It
it
was.
got bad.
That's
This
what I'm
was
saying.
good.
That's what I'm
No,
saying.
the pilot for
Is-
this
is-
movie was good.
is
I
there-
call it all of the rest of Star Trek. It was
There
good.
is the potential for them to Battlestar
That's the
Galactica this
pilot.
up if the next movie
Yeah.
is bad.
But that doesn't take away from this movie being good.
But and that also exactly, and that also that's a very good point, and that also means there is the potential for the next movie to be good.
Yes,
But they could Battlestar it up.
that's right.
They
But
could BSG it, and that would suck. And then I would be very angry.
yeah,
all
I
I'm
mean,
saying
very.
is when it comes
because
to
of the
sci-fi
potential
shows
that this has.
and
Yes.
declaration of sci-fi shows sucking, it's very rare that I've been wrong.
Okay.
That's just what I'm saying. When
All
it
right.
comes to sci-fi suckage, I can smell it a mile away.
All right.
So
All
in
right.
your own mind, you agree with your opinions.
Bingo.
Got it.
And when things come to pass, most people do too. At least when if they like sci-fi. If you like sci-fi.
Blah,
So
blah, blah.
you'll notice, by the way, I wore this shirt. Let's see if you can see this here today. This specific sweater, because it makes me think of Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan a little bit.
Oh, nice,
With
nice.
the lapel thing. I
Wow.
did that on purpose.
You're a good
That's-
guy.
That's
Not a
on purpose
heterosexual
today.
thing to say.
No, not at all. But I had to do it. So anyway, definitely feel free to get a hold of us. Chris, what other ways are there to get a hold of us?
Well, we do have a very fancy email address, and if you email us CastaBlasta@JupiterBroadcasting.com, we promise to probably not read your email, but if
We-
it's awesome, we just might.
We might. And I think we're
might.
going to have a lot of Lost to talk about next
Yeah.
episode because we're not talking about it today.
God.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah. And we should
Ugh,
mention, if people,
more
I don't know,
JJ.
a lot of people probably haven't stuck around this long in the episode, but we are going to be back next week. We're not
Yeah.
taking 2 weeks off.
Since
Yeah.
we delayed this one week.
Yep.
Right,
Uh-huh.
right.
Back
So
on
then we're
schedule.
back on our normal every other week schedule starting
Yeah.
next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good
There you have
times
it.
for
Woo.
everybody.
All right. So
this
everybody,
was cathartic.
everybody want to go see Star Trek now after this?
Oh
Yeah.
Go
man!
see Star Trek?
I want
On
to see
you?
it again.
As long as you
Again.
get me drunk, I'll go.
I want to see it in IMAX next.
Let's go see Star Trek
Real
2009.
You know, I should see it in IMAX just so I can see the big special effects. Maybe I'll like it better. You know?
Yeah.
Like
I don't
space
think
battles.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like space battles and lasers, and it had
Honestly,
some lasers.
I would have sat through an hour of just a shot of the grass to see 10 minutes of Leonard Nimoy again.
You know what?
That was great.
There
That's
is
cool.
some
It was
truth
really
to
nice.
that. There is
Yeah.
some very distinct truth to that.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Nimoy and
It is
Simon
awesome.
Pegg, you are both exempt from my F review. You guys are rocking.
There you have it.
That's all there is.
So
Because
they-
I thought
obviously
you liked Pike too.
they're listening.
I
What?
thought you liked Pike too.
The new Kirk?
no,
Pike.
Pike.
Not
Captain
Pine.
Oh, Captain
Captain
Christopher Pike?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't end up in the beepy boopy wheelchair, so I don't care.
Well,
in a
he's
wheelchair,
not
though.
supposed to yet anyway.
I hope.
No,
I hope
That was
we.
after
I
the
hope we.
menagerie.
I hope we get some more.
which
with him.
never happened.
Me too.
Mhm.
Oh,
You know, they never say.
We never get the menagerie.
They never say in the. You never say in the original series
Damn it.
why he got in the wheelchair. Really, I mean, they kind of gloss over it. There was an accident. But
Yeah, there was an accident, but
weak.
we never. Yeah, but now they put him in a wheelchair and it sucks. Anyway, beep beep. We're all good. We're all done. We're moving on. Thanks everyone for tuning in to this this lovely episode.
Let us
Absolutely.
know if you want us to talk
Uh,
more about Star Trek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want us to talk about more about Star Trek,
If we didn't talk Star Trek enough
we
for
can
you,
probably come up with more to say.
you know what
Oh,
the
I
good
got
news
more.
is? The good news is I doubt there will be another movie. So we don't
That's
ever
so
have to
wrong.
again.
All right, there you have it. That's
Next
Brian's,
episode, we'll just be
Mayor
playing with
of
Chris's
Wrong.
Enterprises.
Thanks, everybody.
that's Brian's final word on that. See everybody in 1 week.
1 week.
We're going to do it.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're the
Seriously, it was
mayor of
terrible.
Wrongtown.
Man, I'm so glad I don't have to pretend to like that movie anymore.
All right, if we drop off chat room, we'll be right back, but I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop the recording here, and sometimes these biggins, they don't go over so well. So if the stream dies, give us like 15, 20 seconds and then come back in.